Okay, I got the video recording going. I got my local going. The
I got dog.
Zencaster is now going.
Aw.
Oh, look at the dog.
Also, hello.
I'm gonna do it as WAV to piss off Devin next time.
Wait, does
Do
he
not
not
say-
like? Do they not like WAV?
I don't know. I live to antagonize Dev. So
Okay.
love you, Dev.
I always send it as WAV.
I
said
thought they
it's
told me in the
Slack. I thought
past
we're
no
supposed to send
MP3, so I was doing it.
Oh yeah,
as
dude,
WAV.
It makes, honestly, I can
Yeah.
say this, it makes no difference whatsoever.
Nova, you look beautiful today.
A little.
Thank you. Yeah,
You're
this is I'm experimenting with actually bothering to do makeup.
You look
or at least eye
terrific.
makeup. Thank you.
Roz, you look
You
terrible.
have to because the screen is recording.
That's
Uh,
right. Yeah.
All right. Well, as long as we're doing that, hang on, so the people can get a glimpse of my face. There I am. I just
Yes.
came from work. Hello. Now show me the slides, Justin.
Okay, I'm going to the slides.
Faster, peasant boy.
Here we are. Hold on, we have to.
This is
we have to,
anti-Polish discrimination.
I was about to say.
He's also Norwegian. I'm Swedish, so
Norway barely even had any peasants because it's no arable land.
who would want to live in Norway? Roz would, but
Vikings. You
Well, the
don't need
Vikings wanted
arable
to not
lands.
live in Norway.
You go out and go in a boat and you go somewhere nicer. And
Yeah, like England.
Minnesota. It's half
Okay.
Norwegian, half Somalia. That's the beauty of America.
We do the sync point and then we launch the podcast.
We
Right,
should do
sorry.
the sync point. Yes.
Yeah.
Going to do 3, 2, 1, mark, and then you clap. 3, 2, 1, mark. Okay,
Good
good
enough.
enough.
Sorry, boy.
It's like four times.
Every recording he hates the clap, so you
Oh.
That's unfortunate, but it's
Yeah, this is a
over
very
now.
clap-heavy podcast.
Dog
Yeah.
traumatized.
Dog traumatized by clap.
Woke left traumatizes innocent dog.
Hello, and welcome to Well, There's Your Problem. It's a podcast about engineering disasters with slides. I'm Justin Rosniak. I'm the person who's talking right now. My pronouns are he and him. Okay, go.
I am November Kelly. I'm the person who's talking right now. My pronouns are she and her. Yay, Liam.
Hey, Liam. Hi, I'm Liam McAnderson. My pronouns are he, him. I'm the person talking right now. And Victoria, go, I guess. I don't know what to call you. Host? Fourth mic?
I think fourth mic, temporarily unemployed fourth mic.
Yeah, welcome to the Well, There's Your Problem Make Work program. We can
Our work experience girl, Victoria.
carrying on the mantle of FDR. My name is Victoria Scott. I'm the person who's talking right now. My pronouns are she and her. And guest.
And we have a guest.
One more guest. Hi, my name is Rob. My pronouns are he and him, and I will be your elevator attendant for this episode.
Oh, you got like the handle as opposed to the buttons.
Yeah.
It's always funny
Yeah,
when you're in
that
an
shit
elevator
rules.
with an attendant and they just press the button for you.
Oh, like at Phil's games? Yeah.
Yeah,
I just
or,
want a peaked cap. Like this is all I want from life.
Yeah,
the
jump
freight
with a
elevator.
uniform.
The freight elevator in the BNY Mellon Center has a guy who just
Yep.
sits on a milk crate and he pushes the button for you.
Give the man a
Um,
chair at least. God damn.
I know.
I
right?
mean, I do have a bomb shelter in the basement, so when it really goes wrong, the elevator attendant will be in unlimited positions of power.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Anyway, this is
What
going to
is-
be chaos because there are like 5 of us.
Yeah.
What you see on the screen in front of you is a very narrow skyscraper under construction.
Oh my god.
I hate this
Um,
thing. I've been
this
waiting to
is
talk about it for so long.
Dreadful. Yeah.
And knowing
They're-
us, it's going to fall down the day after we
Yeah.
we sort of do the episode, or an unusually skillful 9/11 is going to take it out for us.
Yeah,
Just
this
yeah.
is challenge mode 9/11. That's true.
right.
Yeah.
New game plus, you sort of get in and you're like, okay, now let's do a slightly harder one.
To be fair, there's a whole like row of these things. We'll get into it. So like you could like pinball it, like just hit the first one right, and then just
doing a kind of Takeshi's Castle of 9/11s down Billionaires Road.
Yeah,
Oh,
this is 432 Park Avenue. There's some strong arguments that it is not supposed to look like that.
Oh,
One
wow.
of the
there's-
worst buildings in America, if you ask me.
It's not
Yes.
very good. Yeah.
It's poor. I'm on 432parkavenue.com. Well, I would be, except oh fuck, I didn't pause my torrents. Hold on.
Yeah, let me. Well, that's going to give a moment for all of the right leaning yimbys to turn off the podcast right now.
Yeah,
As we said, 432
exactly.
Park is bad.
They can suck
So,
my ass.
This is a tower of abundance, if you will.
Yeah, this is the middle finger to God. Really,
I have a question. If we have a painting for California housing policy, what do we have for New York City housing policy? Because
that's later in the episode.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, dude. I appreciate you keeping that gag going. Yeah.
No, that was all Rob.
Oh, well done, Rob. Yeah, Roz, you suck. You're terrible. Roz, when you go home for Thanksgiving, never mind. We'll talk
Wednesday.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. But before we talk about 432 Park Avenue and other pencil towers, we have to do the goddamn news.
Oh, fuck, that's me.
Obviously, so much national news going on that it's incomprehensible. So we need to talk about extremely local news. The ongoing SEPTA poly crisis has worsened.
Poly
Have they
crisis is
tried
a terrific
monogamy?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going down to one form of public transportation, and knowing us, it would be buses.
But it's
Only
buses, yeah. Only well, Corinne will be thrilled. None of the rest of us will be, but at least Corinne will be thrilled. Make the 15 of the subway, god damn it.
Yeah. So the situation on the ground at this time, SEPTA, the Southeastern Pennsylvania Transportation Authority, my local public transportation provider, has now lost the trolley tunnel as well as a good deal of regional rail capacity, as well as who knows what else is going on. Apparently, someone had the bright idea that to reduce wear on the overhead lines, to replace the contact shoes on the trolley poles of the trolleys. These are from, I want to say, a earlier order from a decade ago when we thought we were going to go in on an order of trolleys with Toronto.
Was this supposed to be what happened in like Germantown, where they laid down track and then never used it, or is this something else?
No, this is after that.
How do two grown North American cities not have trolley bus money between them?
We have trolley buses.
Yeah. No, the trolley buses are fine. It's the trolleys that are fucked.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah. So they replaced the overhead contact shoes with these bigger ones that were from Toronto, with the idea that they would reduce wear. Problem is they're a little bit deeper than the older shoes. So when they went through the tunnel where the wire is much more highly tensioned, those contact shoes both wore down to nothing and then knocked off all of the insulators and, the holders and, basically everything down there just got wrecked.
The whole inside of the tunnel getting a perfect Shawinigan handshake.
For sale, trolley shoes never worn.
They used the Canadian inch is the problem.
Yeah, exactly. My understanding, I forget if this was in the Inquirer article or not, was that some essentially load-bearing employee either left or was fired. It was basically the guy saying, "No, don't use these contact shoes. I know we have 1 billion of them. They won't work."
Load-bearing
And
load-bearing employee is going to stick with me for a long time.
Once
they're called bottoms. For fuck.
Once that guy was gone, someone's like, "Hey, let's use these and see what happens." Bad things, as it turns out.
Stroke of genius.
Someone who is not woke by training, but is woke by inclination, trying to refer to the concept of a gay employee.
So yeah, we're extra fucked. I don't know what else can go wrong. I'm sure plenty of stuff will.
Just you wait there, bud.
This morning, Governor Shapiro delivered a really big speech at the Fraser Yard, saying that he had come up with $220 million to restore regular capital funding. But I don't know where he got that from. If he could just magically pull money out of his ass, he should have done that months ago.
Right.
But
do an Eric Adams and like come back from Istanbul and be like, "Don't worry about it, it's fixed."
don't worry. Why do all the trolleys say Turkish Airlines on them now?
Don't
Why
worry
is
about
there
it.
an
It's fixed.
Armenian detector on the
we do
front
have
of every trolley?
for like 6 months, we had a Turkish Airlines wrapped streetcar in Seattle, and we were continually joking that it was Adam's signal that he was going to run for mayor of Seattle next.
Yeah, it's like we have, restored funding to public transport, but we do have to refer to the Armenian genocide in quote marks now. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
But yeah, so this crisis is continuing to worsen, and I think things are going to get much worse before they get better. I'm getting used to living entirely within like a 5-block radius at this point.
It's fine. It's fine. It's
15-minute cities.
degrowth is
They're here.
happening
You're
to
here.
you.
They're
Yeah.
here, yeah. I've been forced into a 15-minute city.
Mandatory 15 minutes
Yeah.
a day.
Klaus Schwab is like successfully curtailing your freedoms.
God, I just wish that
Oh,
there
it
were a
was
store that had nice toilet
Directed
paper nearby.
PennDOT to transfer money set aside for emergencies from the Public Transit Trust Fund to SEPTA.
Just so long as there aren't any
you go.
emergencies. I guess this
Yeah.
is an emergency. It's just an
SEPTA
emergency
is
of
a
your own
constant
making.
emergency.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, so things are bad here in Southeast Pennsylvania. But
Oh, could be worse.
Other-
You ever tried being a mathcore violinist?
yeah, or in other news, have you
A
ever tried
UPS
flying an
pilot.
MD-11?
Yeah. McDonnell Douglas keeping true to its corporate culture, which is, of course, as we all know, McDonnell Douglas, civilian or military, will kill you. 100% lethality guaranteed.
We have the shirt.
yeah,
Buy the
so-
shirt.
We do. I was just going to allude to the shirt because I wasn't necessarily going to promote the shirt over, the dead bodies, but sure, fine.
Oh,
whatever.
yeah. It's in poor taste, but
yeah.
whatever.
It's fine. Step over the sort of mangled ruins of people and buy a
Yeah,
shirt.
just
from
just
there,
poke the
damn
dead
thing.
body with a stick, get 10 million more followers. It's fine.
You
That's
could-
it.
you
That's
could-
how it
really
is.
like
you
help
could-
you process grief. New T-shirt.
Yeah.
Bury them in our shirts.
Think of us like a true crime podcast.
Oh, God damn. Stay sexy and don't get socially murdered. Yeah. No, so UPS put an MD-11 on the ground, not in the good way. They perfectly 9/11'd a fuel storage facility in Louisville, killing 3 of their own crew, 11 people on the ground. And you go, that's crazy. How did this happen? Why do we have surveillance cam footage of a plane going in sideways? And the answer is because left engine fall off. Left
Yeah,
engine fall off the
just
plane
fall
on
off.
takeoff. Parts departing the aircraft.
It's usually not a good thing when parts fall off the airplane.
Why not?
No,
It saves
especially when you're on takeoff and so it's throttled up and so it just sort of spirals off and over the wing. And then maybe kind of the sort of middle engine, because it's a trijet, just dies, and then it augurs into whatever this is. So yeah, there are close-up photos of the engine falling off. NTSB says that it had fatigue cracks on the engine connection, which makes sense why it fell off. There was actually a very similar DC-10 crash in 1979 due to they had this weird like bad maintenance procedure where to remove one of the engines you're supposed to use a crane to lift it off, but I forget who it was, Republic I think, worked out it was quicker and cheaper to just balance it on the end of a forklift. And
That's
this,
what?
What?
Yeah.
That's excellent.
and this like rocked the engine back and forth in such a way that it like overstressed the pylon and eventually the engine fall off. If that's happened again, then that's really bad, because that means that the sort of like 40-year-old sort of maintenance procedures are sort of coming back. I
Probably
don't care.
Another load-bearing employee there who was like, "Don't
Yeah.
do it that way." And then
Yeah.
left.
This is why you need
Fuck that
DEI.
guy.
Yeah.
I don't care how cool you think a trijet is, and neither does the FAA, because they have grounded all MD-11s, also all DC-10s, if anyone was still flying those.
DC-10s. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
My
Yeah.
question is, if your package was on that flight, what do they put on the tracking update?
plane
Frowny
crashed.
face.
Yeah, your
Unexpected item in bagging area somehow.
Your unexpected item in the bagging area. Your package has left our storage facility. It's
Yeah,
really
your
left our storage facility.
Your package is consciously uncoupled from its transport means.
Well, the thing is, one of the
We've
things that
degrossed
clipped,
your package.
one of the things that clipped on the way in was UPS's own warehouse. So it was entirely possible that the tracker would show that it had left the storage facility and then, I guess, come back briefly. So once again,
I mean,
UPS
that is the kind of precision
exploring-
aiming you will need for like the main
Yeah.
topic. So I'm not.
Once again, UPS exploring new frontiers in the most expensive and deadly way to not deliver a package on time.
Usually that's
what I'm
FedEx's
hearing
realm.
is the film that'll eventually be made about this will, of course, be entitled "Return to Sender."
God damn it, Roz. I already made a joke about wearing a McDonnell Douglas shirt to a funeral, which I guess
It's
is
I mean, this trijet shit. It's literally just like they're cheap and they're old, and the only people still flying them are sort of
UPS.
cargo airlines, UPS and FedEx. And part of the reason why is because UPS and FedEx don't care about their employees, and so
I am also personally bummed because they do fly them into not even SeaTac, but the Boeing field, which is even closer and lower to like the city of Seattle. So you can get like it's like the 80s. It's like I feel like I'm in the opening of like The Sopranos. You get trijet like FedEx trijets landing like right over the freeway. It's so cool.
not
Obviously,
anymore.
I wouldn't recommend that we keep killing people to ensure that my Sopranos vibe is maintained, but still.
I mean, if
Oh,
they
yeah.
blast like the music
Couldn't
on
hurt.
the freeway while you're driving to work or something, that'd be good.
It's got to tack a fourth engine on there, for redundancy.
The quad jet
Yeah,
for redundancy.
yeah, for redundancy.
for the redundancy.
Yeah, so
Redundant?
there's extra of them
Yeah, redundancy to do it
in
again.
case there's a
Redundancy.
problem with one. The other one, yeah,
Oh,
it's redundant.
redundancy.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, all we can say is I guess we'll wait for the NTSB report to come out. We
Obviously,
don't know
our-
what happened specifically yet. I don't think.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
this happened during the shutdown, which I don't think we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
And I just think about being on the NTSB like Go team and having to do this unpaid labor
Yeah.
to be like, let me just move the chunky
Let me just-
marinara that
right,
used to be
get
a
out of the
person out of the way,
human
so I can
being soup, right?
retrieve the sort of like recorder with their sort of last screams on it. Great,
Probably got it.
fantastic.
Probably got to pay your own airfare to get out there. Too.
Oh god damn.
Yeah, I mean,
Fuck you.
your package arrives 4 months late, and like the cardboard's still a bit soggy, and it's just a bit horrible in the end. Like,
Oh no, my buysnooze.com, which won't ship to the United
It's-
States anymore, by
it's-
the way.
It's fine, but why is all of my snooze red? And why does it taste like pennies?
Normally does anyway. I don't care.
God, where are you getting that?
Well, not buysnooze.com anymore
Well,
because they won't ship to the
apparently,
United States.
Well, that was the goddamn news.
Someday
Now
these tariffs
for-
are going to end.
Now for announcements.
Announcements.
We
If
have
my previous threats were insufficient, the threats will intensify. Come to the
How?
live shows.
come to
I
the
don't
live
know.
shows.
I'm going to find a way. I'm going to escalate from threatening to kill them to threatening to torture them. Are you attached to your kneecaps? Would you like to stay that way?
This is a really, really elaborate, just like torture camp system.
Maybe
you're
it's a
gonna have to
fetish
set
thing.
up.
Who knows? It's not my
You know,
problem.
I don't. This is gonna the history books are not gonna look kindly on this.
That's fine.
November.
They're not going to kindly on us anyway.
I think I'll be remembered in the context of my time. And the context of that time was not selling enough tickets to live shows.
Yes. So anyway, we have 2 upcoming live shows at the Spaghetti Warehouse in Philadelphia, which I understand is now called Union Transfer.
I like that you're going to get there at loaded and be like,
Yeah.
what happened to the spaghetti?
Dead name it every time.
We're there with the Quorators podcast about questions from Quora.
The worst website on the internet. Yes.
Yes, we're gonna
Non
it's on
4chan
what,
division.
It's the 14th and 15th of December, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. No, I had a nightmare about it this morning where it was tomorrow and I hadn't written the slides yet.
That's okay.
That's fine. We could get up there and read the phone book, but we won't. We'll put in
Yeah.
a lot of effort. And because of that effort, and because of the fact that I'm going to torture you if you don't, you should come to the live shows.
Yes.
That's a
So, yeah.
perverse incentive for some of them. If
Those
that
links-
makes you feel strange, I'm not going to torture you unless you come to the live shows.
Yeah, we will be doing the beat and greet.
Every fan gets punched square in the nose, and then we sign something if you like.
Yes.
We
Yes,
Do you
we
have
are,
like various Patreon tiers? Because like you could go from like, you know, one punch to
Ooh.
severe mauling for the higher.
We
Yeah.
do. I am pleased to announce that we have upgraded the forgery of November signature.
Oh,
And
perfect.
we're now going to rubber stamp November signature, so we don't have to write it
You
anymore.
actually got it. Yes,
I have it.
fantastic.
Yeah, I have
I
it.
was
Oh,
wondering why you wanted me to send you like a PDF with a really clear scan of my signature and my credit card details and my fingerprints.
Yeah,
Dental
well,
Can I
records
have
was
that?
kind of tricky.
Yeah.
I assume.
Can I
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, come to the live shows. Roz won't be willing to beat you with a hammer because he abhors violence, but I sure don't. So
So
yeah, you do the
uh,
opposite of whatever the opposite of abhorring is what you do about violence.
whoring.
Yeah, you whore violence.
yeah.
Video
yeah.
instantly requires content. Requires like ID to watch.
No, so let me get
not
this
again.
straight.
Yeah, bud.
We're threatening to beat people up if they don't come to the show,
Yep.
but
Yep.
also if they do come to the show.
Yeah, it's a win-win.
Yes. Yeah.
Makes sense to me.
Yep.
Okay.
It's
Ask
sort of
no
like
further
a
The one
questions.
sort
is
of like
targeted.
a
The other one just like happens to you.
it's sort of like a French army in like late 1916 disciplinary policy, and I think that'll work out for us about as well.
Yeah. Well, there's your problem. Come to our live show and we'll kill you.
You will be issued with a set of horizon blue sort of greatcoats and then beaten to
Yeah. Well, there's your problem. The only podcast with Corvée labor. It's great.
Those were the announcements.
Wait, no, they weren't. No, they weren't. No, they
What?
weren't. No, they
What?
weren't. No, they
What?
weren't.
What was the other part of the announcements?
The other part of the announcements
the
was
press
to
one.
Oh, the press part. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that was yes, the press one. Please write nice articles about us. The only ones we have are a hyper allergic article from like 2021.
Oof.
Part of getting November over the United States eventually, and I mean eventually being like, I don't know, 2028 after Trump's third term, is the O1 visa process is really fucked up and complicated, and it does require there to be a lot of press about us. So if you work for a newspaper of some kind, please write an article about us.
It's too
Doesn't
bad you don't
even
know
have to
any
be
journalists.
positive. Does
No, it
not
could be
have
really
to be
mean.
positive.
Yeah, it
I
could
don't-
be
I don't
really
know.
mean,
I don't know
yeah.
how to read. The other thing that I was gonna say is
Get us in the post millennial.
don't
Does it have to be
don't-
American media? Or can you just like get, you know, what is it, Times of India, that thing that just like reproduces everybody else's content?
Oh, good question. I don't know.
Indian tour. Here we go.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah,
I
well,
want to. We're
I'm
gonna
doing
do
a
the
good
whole tour on a commuter train with no doors.
Yes, led by Jay Sate.
Yeah.
But the announcement I was gonna make was the wish lists are live. I will link to them in the description. These are for the seniors that I work with at Lutheran Settlement House. They are for the kids who need toys and Christmas donations. If our compulsion to bring you to the live shows doesn't work, if you don't donate to the children, you will be mauled in some sort of hyper efficient way. I'm good at mauling.
But also, you know, it's the dreams of children. You shouldn't
is-
need mauling to persuade you to do that.
I want to
That's
say that my favorite thing at work is when we get enough toys usually that we have surplus, but however they are stored in the furthest corner of the creepy wet basement. So I always have to go. I have to like load myself, make the sign of the cross and load myself in to go in the furthest corner of the creepy basement. And I'm just like, and I pop out like Santa Claus. I'm just like, here's toys, and they're just like, why is that
I'm
man
just making-
screaming at me?
Just for clarity's sake, the toys are in the basement, or the children? Which
the
which are you
toys,
keeping?
the toys, the children are
All right.
upstairs.
All right.
I will be. I have authorized my wife to spend the company money on a custom made Santa suit. So look forward to that expense on our taxes. All right, that was the end of the announcements. As far as I'm
Those were
concerned.
the announcements.
All right.
All
So
right, this is mostly a Rob episode.
Hi, Rob.
yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. So as usual, I have, my engineering qualifications through my master's degree in English literature. So if I fuck up, then it's not my fault.
I can provide help where needed.
So basically, why are we talking about this? And essentially, it is to make fun of some of the worst people in the world. Watch them make each other miserable. Watch them sue each other because they decided to build a fucking terrible building and then sell condos inside it for many, many millions of dollars. The condos all look hideous. We'll get to it. And this is one of those ones where, apart from maybe some construction guys here and there, you don't have to feel sorry for anybody. Because they all, everybody involved is a piece of shit. So it's really fun.
Yes.
Here's a small quote from the New York Times. I was convinced it would be the best building in the world, said Serena Abramovich, one of the earliest residents of 432 Park. She, by the way, is married to an oil and gas tycoon, so fuck her too. They are still billing it as God's gift to the world, and it's not. She and her husband bought a 3,500-foot apartment for almost $17 million as a second home.
Fuck you. Die.
Fuck you.
That's about the size of a good size West Philly, twin. Sort of one of the big mansion type houses.
We could have the podcast castle we gotta have 6 of the podcast castles.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
How many dank basements could that afford you?
One.
Just one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just, as a small credit where it's due, I started reading about this or researching this because of a long read in the New York Times from October of this year, written by Dion Cersei, Stefanos Chen, and Uvashi Uberoy. I hope I pronounced those right. Credit where credit's due. New York Times, mostly terrible, but sometimes they do really good work.
I also read this same article. And I read it and I was like, this is for us. This is perfect.
Yeah. The story was fantastic, except for that segue where they started blaming trans swimmers for why it was built poorly.
Well, yeah, they should have come in first place.
I could not work out whether or not the private pool had like a weird policy, but maybe one day we'll get that.
I'm downloading the Penthouse brochure now. Oh, I'm gonna kill everybody in this building with my bare hands, man.
Right. You're not gonna need to.
I thought it'd be a good idea to go over some basic skyscraper design here, right?
Yes, fantastic.
So,
we have the best graphics in the game. I don't care who knows it.
So
high production values. I mean, like
the one article that Hyperallergic wrote about us that I was mentioning says, like, in the second paragraph, this is nothing intricately produced like 99% or anything from NPR. It's like, I forget what they call us, but it's like aggressively DIY and relaxed.
So, as you all know, I was just recently in Europe for a while. And I got to see the Trash Future offices, right?
Hell yeah.
Got to record an episode with Gareth of Britanology. We talked about US versus UK railways and sort of the general vibe. That's over on the Trash Future Patreon. You got to be on the special high tier to listen to it, though.
Can you send that to me?
No, give me $10.
Yeah,
give me $10, you cheap fucking bastard.
So anyway, I was in the offices and I got jealous. So I went into the Patreon, took out a big bunch of money. Long story short, this is our new global headquarters building.
Where is it? Are you going to tell us where it is?
Oh, this is going to go up in Center City sometime fairly soon.
Okay.
This is just a schematic.
I approved this, actually. I was wondering where the big...
this is just a schematic. The actual building will look nicer. Anyway.
Yeah, no, but sorry, you're never getting paid again.
WYTP.
No, you're supposed to read it from left to right, not
yours their problem.
Don't inside.
Well, you're their problem.
Oh, I'm gonna be their problem. Look, I have in all seriousness looked into getting us office space for me and Roz to record, and just like in the shittiest place imaginable, like above bars and stuff. And I got so far as to sending an email, and I got just a flat, "We are not interested. Thank you."
Yeah, it's crazy. Like owning a podcast studio, renting a podcast studio is a ridiculous expense. So do not draw any inferences about Trash Future from this.
Well, no, but the thing is that once we approve these schematics, which we did by a vote of 2 to didn't vote.
Yeah.
But by a
Yeah.
vote of
Missed
2
that
to
meeting.
one of you has a stamp with my signature on it.
All right, 3-0 it is. Let's do it, baby.
So anyway, this is about 70 stories tall, right? We got about 2 million leasable square feet. I think we only need a floor or two of this. So I'm pretty sure that with, Center City office space going at a premium as it is right now, we're going to make that money back, no problem.
Yeah, that's
Right.
Yeah, it's
No,
like
I already- yeah.
us, Andreessen Horowitz for 5 floors.
It's just Roz
You're
running.
the first podcast to invent, real estate scams. That's never been done before.
Look, it's not a scam. I lease office space out to people who want office space. That's called business.
business.
This is landlordism.
Yeah.
Roz, have
it's
you
not-
ever considered writing one of those books that's like the 10 tips of successful business minds or something? I feel like you're onto something here.
Sell things that people want to buy.
What they don't teach
Business
you at Drexel
secrets of the
University.
podcaster.
Well, they
Yeah.
don't teach you at Drexel University, and it's Roz fist fighting a guy from Anderson Horowitz in a parking lot.
So anyway, I feel like this is a good place to go over some skyscraper systems, some ideas behind their design, so on and so forth, why they are the way they are, right? Obviously we did a whole bonus episode about this a while back. I'm just going to do it again here, but shorter for convenience.
Yeah.
Or just
So-
go back and listen to the old one. Just pause this and why don't you do your own homework? Fuck me.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, you need some kind of frame that holds the building up. That's usually just a grid of columns and floors and crap like that. That can be done in steel. It can be done in concrete. Here in the United States, at least, usually office spaces in steel, usually residential is in concrete. This has something to do with the fact that the floors are closer together in residential buildings. So for whatever reason, it makes more sense to do it in concrete. I don't know the specifics there. You can also sometimes mix it up. So like the FMC Tower near 30th Street Station, that has office space on the lower floors and residential on the upper floors. So the bottom is this light, airy steel frame, and then on top of it, it's reinforced concrete. Looked goofy as all hell when it was going up. I wish I had a picture.
I think I might have one if you want me to send it.
Yeah.
When you were in, so when we approved this, and now that we're building a skyscraper, WTYP and Friends Skyscraper Building Company. Oh, never mind. Joke's gone. Sorry, folks.
What? No, we still have the plane too. Don't worry.
Oh no, that was what I was. Yeah, I wanted to make sure you hadn't sold the plane that definitely isn't stolen and definitely wasn't involved.
What
in
have
the
I
murder.
been signing?
Well, so here's the thing, right? We have a rubber
Am I
stamp.
enlisted
literal-
into
we-
the Coast Guard?
Yeah, we have a literal rubber stamp of your signature. Our power is limitless.
First of all, how
Just-
dare you enlist me? I was holding out for a commission.
Why did you sign for all those UPS packages is what I want to know.
November is shipping me from buysnooze.com by the truckload.
I think
all
I'm
of
the
them-
guarantor for your mortgage.
Why do these keep saying you fucking bastard on them?
Below
Why do they
the
all taste
tower,
like
there's
pennies?
below the tower, there's going to be some kind of foundation. This might be steel piles you drive in with a pile driver. These might be concrete caissons where you get a big auger and you drill a hole in the ground that's like 6 or 7 feet in diameter, sometimes more, and you throw in some reinforced steel caging. You fill the whole thing with concrete, right? They might be a shallow floating foundation, depending on where you are. Sometimes that's sufficient.
Can you explain what you mean by shallow floating foundation?
So a floating foundation is just a big concrete pad, and it sort of floats in the soil,
Okay, good enough. Thank you.
right? So that's going to be, because there's stuff with like buoyancy in here, which I didn't do good in foundation design in school. I'm going to be honest. That was never my forte.
Yeah, but you have the degree, baby.
That's true. So, anyway, you design the foundation in such a way you don't have like excessive settling and it's strong enough to bear the weight of the building, send it either into the soil or into the bedrock or, whatever you need to do, right? There's lots of loads that act on the building,
All
right?
the way through the earth to a parallel counterweight building on the other side.
Oh, that's where the mole people live, yeah.
Yeah, we had a 70-story tall mole people WTYP headquarters sticking out of the Antipodes of Philadelphia.
Yes.
What is the Antipodes of Philadelphia?
So
this had better be funny. It's a spot in the Indian Ocean southwest of Australia, says
Come
the
on,
AI
man.
overview. Very annoying.
That sounds
Oh, that's
about
where
right.
the that's where the missing plane is. Which one? The MH77. Which one was the one that they never found?
Yeah, it's on top of the helipad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
please
Yeah.
don't
Yeah,
disrespect
it's
our
private
mole
jet
people,
now.
our mole people counterparts. Thank you.
So
I'm on the website for Schuylkill Yards to look at FMC Tower, and the heading just says this is a building.
Yeah,
That's
is.
it. They're not wrong.
Checks.
Yeah.
You know exactly what it is, you know?
that'd be a good subject for the building show. Anyway, so several loads act on this building, right? On the frame, you have live loads, right? Those people walking around, that's furniture, that's, papers, that's computers, that's all that crap. Stuff you can move around.
Yeah,
There's
fat
the
man
dead
on a
load.
grotesquely heavy bicycle, etc.,
Yeah.
etc.
There's the dead load, which is the weight of the structure itself, the steel beams, the floors, even some of the more the fixtures you're not going to move around, carpets, I don't know, HVAC systems, all pipes, so on and so forth, right? Then you have stuff that's more variable. You have like wind loads that they act on the building sideways, right? You have snow loads that acts on the building vertically. You have rain loads. That's a little bit less important. Usually that's less than the snow load. And of course you have earthquake loads.
Getting my sort of droplets of osmium rain.
Yeah. You got earthquake loads. Those are pretty hard to deal with a lot of the times. They tend to be the governing code pretty much everywhere now, because at some point we acknowledged that the New Madrid earthquake occurred, and maybe we should plan for this stuff even if you're in like New York City. So, I'm not going to go into like load combinations right now. It's not important, but either you build the thing very heavy to withstand all these loads, maybe you find a clever way around them, right? So, one example, for the sake of comfort, you want to avoid excessive sway in the building from wind loads, right? It's normal for a skyscraper to sway somewhat in the wind, even like a foot off center. But you don't want to go really far because that gets uncomfortable. So you might put a big ass weight at the top of the building, right? And you put it on hydraulic rams. And then when there's wind, you sort of move it to the opposite side of the building. And then when the building starts to sway in that direction, you move it back and you keep moving it counter cyclically in order to reduce the sway of the building. This is a tuned mass stamper. It's
This is also a spoiler.
Yeah. This is getting more and more common in new buildings. There's also passive design. So like the Comcast Center in Center City, Philadelphia, they had a passive mass stamper, which is just a giant tank
This is
of
a
water.
big pool, yeah.
Yeah,
Pool,
which
but you know what I mean.
sloshed around. But it leaked so bad they had to drain it. And they found out they didn't really need it anyway. So that just sits there now. Now, other than our fundamental structural systems, right, there's other things going on. You have a facade, right? If you're fancy, you call that a building envelope system, right? That's the thing that, keeps people protected from weather. It protects them from falling out of the building, right? All that good stuff. You have your big plumbing systems because you have to pump all the water to the top of the building because municipal water doesn't have that kind of pressure, right? You have big beefy sewage systems. You have heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, also pretty beefy. Usually it's centralized, so the ducting work is a big nightmare. All these like huge HVAC systems have to do all kinds of weird things to maintain like multiple zones and so on. It's more of an art than a science. Big HVAC, which is kind of weird. You got big electrical systems. A lot of times these buildings contain their own transformers. They take in like full mains power, or at least like medium voltage, and medium voltage here is like 13 kilovolts or whatever that is. Stuff that if you touch it wrong, it vaporizes you. You have trash chutes, you have mail chutes, you have stuff like that. right? You may have like a glycol system if there's like servers in there or something. Uh, Interior, there's lots of different building systems, right? Now, the size and shape of the building, they may be governed by local zoning laws or ordinances, right? So if you have like, this is sort of the classic Art Deco, wedding cake step back. Um, that was from like most pre-war skyscrapers in New York City were built that way because there was a law that said you needed to step back the building at certain height in order to allow for natural light and air at the street level, right?
Yeah, I like that
And
you've reproduced that at WTYP Towers. It's I like that you're going for the retro look.
we haven't gotten this through the value engineers yet. That's the problem.
And we're not gonna. We
Well,
listen,
apparently
man.
I've already signed off on this, though.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we thank you for
Yeah.
your contribution.
And a lot of those older pre-war buildings had small floor plates. What do I mean by a floor plate? That's sort of like the cross-sectional area of the building, so that was due to the need for natural ventilation. They did not have air conditioning. Once air conditioning was invented, then you could suddenly start building big fat buildings with, huge amounts of office space on each floor, where you could stand in the center and you couldn't see the windows anywhere. So yeah, this is one way that the size of the building is governed is by local laws and whether you have air conditioning. But all the stuff I just mentioned pales in comparison to the real limiting factor on building size, which is vertical circulation, right? Which is to say, elevators.
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 It's all elevators. Ignore everything I just said. The only thing that matters is elevators.
Thank you.
So,
Hi, Gwen.
hi, Gwen. The taller your building is, the longer it takes for the elevator to get to the top of it, right?
Sure.
The taller your building is, presumably the more square feet it holds, meaning there's more people in it who all need more elevators to get
it's
around.
like the like rocket fuel payload thing.
The tyranny of the elevator equation, yes.
Yes, yeah. Konstantin Tsiolkovsky launching a bunch of people to the top of a really tall tower.
Yeah. We haven't yet built an elevator that can share an elevator shaft with another elevator. So each new elevator...
Because the
takes
Otis
up-
Corporation refuses to innovate in the previous 125 years.
I think ThyssenKrupp had a prototype, but I
Yeah,
don't
but
think
they're
it's
also
Genuinely,
Nazi.
every advancement in elevator systems has been about you not dying. What if I want to die? What if I think? What if I'm the Gus Grissom of elevators, and I think that dying in an elevator accident is like worth the risk of conquering the elevator shaft?
Oh, this is
Why
they
don't you
invented
just,
that.
like, do,
they
like,
invented that. It's
two-
called a paternoster.
Yeah.
Why don't you just do
Yeah.
two on like a counterbalance and like just run it through like a carabiner on the top and then like just straight up and down.
Just
Doesn't seem that
fucking
hard to
like
me.
They
trebuchet
invented
me
that.
up
It's
there.
called
It's
a
fine.
paternoster. They like it in the Czech Republic, but they go very slow.
Just crank that shit faster. I don't.
Well, they have to move continuously, and you have to figure out how to jump on and off. That's the problem.
Skill issue.
Yeah.
Just half of Central Park filled with like trebuchets and catapults.
Getting
Flinging
into the
people.
office and out every day is going like the film Cube.
I'm the Cube from the film Cube.
Yeah, was that the Cube from the film Cube?
Wow. The practical result of this is for a given site, there's some practical upper limit to the height of a building, or at least its occupancy, because otherwise the building would be entirely elevators.
Your sort of like mile high Frank Lloyd Wright concept building does not work unless you have some kind of like VTOL aircraft with a lot of landing pads.
Oh, I love
Well,
a jump jet. Love a
Frank
Harrier.
Lloyd Wright, when he designed the Illinois, he did acknowledge that there were probably not enough elevators, but he said by the time this building were able to be constructed, this would be solved using atomic powered elevators.
All right, man.
Yes.
Hell yeah. Why not?
Yes.
So
Elevators
You
too
know,
cheap to meter, I say as I enter the
we have-
stratosphere.
we still don't have the atomic elevator that solves this problem, but we have some ways to mitigate it.
Frank
Right.
Lloyd Wright visionarily predicting the Fallout series of games.
So you can have things like I have an express elevator, right? So I'm at the lobby. I want to go to a floor up here. There's an elevator that goes halfway up. It makes all the local stops. And then there's another elevator that goes all the way up here before it starts making stops, right? That's an express elevator. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is with sky lobbies, right? So I
yes.
have hold on. I'm at the lobby, right? I want to go to a floor up here. Well, the elevators here only go crap. I moved the mouse too much. God damn it.
Yeah, I can see
elevators
why
here
they
only
said
go
our
up
production values were DIY.
some amount. But there's a second elevator. It goes all the way to the top, but it only makes 2 stops, right? And those are at sky lobbies, right? And at the sky lobby, you can catch a local elevator that brings you to your floor, right? That's another option. That sort of takes some of the load off the elevators at the bottom. It also means you can stack these elevator shafts on top of each other, right? You can also do things like have double-decker elevators. That's usually combined with a sky lobby. So, if there's an elevator that's going to be very highly used, you can make a double-deck elevator. You can do fancy dispatching systems where rather than you being in the elevator hall and you push a button that says up, instead you enter your floor and then the computer does beep boop bop and figures out the most efficient way to dispatch all the elevators to get as many people to where they need to go as quickly as possible.
Penn Medicine
Right.
does this.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
But it's more efficient. It's marginally more efficient is the
Right.
thing. This is not like a total revolution
the world
in
on fire,
elevator
sure.
technology, right? Ultimately, when you have a big building with a lot of people who need to move around, you just need a lot of elevators. And if you're in a building that's been under-specced, like Liam, you may remember this, the Times Square Holiday Inn.
One elevator.
Yeah.
One of them.
One
for
elevator,
26 floors.
With 8 hotel rooms on each floor.
Fuck y'all. Give me my money back.
Congratulations on getting the furry convention experience, Liam.
They did have warnings on each floor saying elevator wait time can be up to 15 minutes.
And they weren't lying,
Jesus.
to their credit.
So yeah, the big thing about buildings that constrains their size and shape is elevators. It's all elevators. Everything else, who cares? Just elevators. Anyway, that's what I had to say.
Has anyone ever considered putting a big fireman's pole so that the elevators only have to go up and then you can just slide down?
I just
Like
need
in the
some
middle of the
really nice
skyscraper?
gloves.
Yeah, I heard about this school where they had elevators that only went up and elevators that only went down.
Are you talking
worked
about sideways?
But I don't want
stories?
elevators that go down. I
Once.
just want the pole.
Are you talking about sideways stories from Wayside School?
Yes.
That book is an absolute banger.
Yeah.
10
the
out of
elevators
10.
worked perfectly once.
We've taken an elevator that worked perfectly once. We were in New York, a city that hates us.
Oh yeah.
There is where I was growing up. There's like a amusement park with a swimming pool inside, and it has like all the fancy slides. But it has one that's like it has 2 slides that are almost vertical, like they're just off vertical, and they're only for like you have to be 12 or older to ride or something. And I remember them because like the really steep one, several times you just completely let go of the water and you just fall through empty space until you hit the water again. Do that?
That's what you could use that swimming pool that's empty in the building in Philly, their mass damper that leaked. Just have people just cannonball directly into it.
Eat shit.
See,
Comcast.
dual purpose mass dampener. Like you put the corpses of multimillionaires in there, weighs a bit more, gets a bit more stable. Don't see a problem.
I
you
also
gotta
don't
wait
see a
for them to
problem with
decompose so they slosh
it.
around.
It's just taking forever. Just like, come on.
Anyway, so yeah, skyscraper it's mostly elevators. It's just elevators. Anyway.
Anyway, before we start talking about the building itself, I thought we have to explain a little bit why we are and what we're doing here. So this is the view from Central Park looking south, and this is what's known as Billionaires Row now.
Oh, I hate it.
Oh yeah, it's terrible. It's just a bunch of middle fingers to working people.
It is just like if you want like a highest concentration of where the worst people in the world live, it's this in Dubai. Like that's kind of I'm not saying you could do some surgical strikes, but I'm saying they would be highly effective.
Genocide on Billionaires Row.
I'm just saying to the IDF that maybe I've identified 3 Hamas command centers.
I believe you have, November.
Yes. So specifically the big 5 needle towers you see before you on the screen, those are the main 5. There are others. There are, I think, a few more being constructed, and this is either where the worst people on Earth live, or more commonly it is where they speculate even more on their apartment being worth forever and forevermore in the future, because that's what you do with very expensive real estate. It's centered around West 57th Street, like I say, near the southern edge of Central Park. Why is it the southern edge? It's because it has the best views and also because it catches the most sunlight. So if you face the park, you have southern exposure, and you can either, I don't think it's really good for wine growing because there's no slope angle, but like you have the south facing side. And in November of 2025, just to give you a little bit of context, the top floor penthouse, which is 11,500 square feet, or 1,070 square meters if you live in a real country. And
who won the war?
I think that
the Soviets.
Don't worry about that.
And one of I think it went on to be sold for about like $100 million in the end.
Jesus,
that was a discount though. First time it sold when the tower was just completed, it went for $165 million. So your asset may depreciate in value as well.
I feel so bad for whoever's asset depreciated in value.
Well, wait until you get a look at what that money buys you. Next slide, please. Wow. This is what you get for $100 and some odd million dollars. I think this is.
Oh,
it's a big room.
It's a room.
That's,
it's the hotel lobby in the sky.
Yeah, you could sit down.
Yeah, but
I do like that there's like openable windows, so you could crack open, and get a 47-mile-an-hour breeze blasting.
That sounds pretty pleasant. Every German listening to this just sat forward in their chair, like, okay.
He's probably only open like a crack, is the thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
probably.
so it's worse. It's like a rifle shot.
Yeah.
Just getting bird struck by opening the window, just like fucking getting lanced by a seagull.
You could look out of the window. You could look at some of the little objects. It's got a lot of little objects.
This is my large white carpet where I display my white furniture I never use, which the developer assured me was very expensive, but he actually got it from Crate and Barrel.
Yeah, good luck getting anything up or down from there. Also, you're like exposed on 3 if not 4 sides, so then you have the problem of like, okay, you can sort of be in there, but what happens when someone flies a drone up to your window, which they will all the time?
Yeah, but the windows don't open, so you can't just shotgun blast the thing back to hell. Yeah.
Well, you could.
I mean, the one thing I think
you just spend a lot of money on windows.
Just once, right?
Well, no, you can do it any number of times, but the window.
Putting like foil over all the windows, like a crack house.
Who's the insane?
Just got some plywood in there, just like.
I got Holland and Holland on speed dial. Coincidentally, does anyone have a good window guy?
I mean, I suppose the one thing you could do all the way up there in your multi-hundreds of millions of dollar penthouse is, much like a very other tall towers, you could feel closer to God. And God really likes it when you come closer to him, as we'll see during the presentation.
Of course. That's why everyone in this tower speaks the same language. I guess the other thing is, if you're in here, this is Sky Prison, right? Because not only are you sort of like up this high that you're fucking like, swaying around, you can't open any of the windows, but also if you're like I feel like I want to go for a walk in Central Park, which is, after all, basically on my doorstep. It's very nice. I want to do the Kurt Vonnegut thing and go and buy an envelope or whatever. Oh, sure, that'll be like half an hour until I can get to the ground.
Yeah,
I didn't check elevator times, but it'll be something along those lines. This is, I think, the 80th floor. Maybe it's something like that. It's 80 or 86th floor.
There's some floor plans later on. My understanding is this building, this is not 432 Park. I believe 432 Park has 2 or 3 elevators.
No,
It has 4.
When there has four, but when there's only 100 apartments, okay, fine, but
what?
Yeah, there's only 100 apartments. Well, we'll get into how many apartments there are.
I hate to
who's
sound like
supposed
a
to live into
nouveau
them.
riche, but that's still too many apartments. I'm taking the opposite angle on this. This is too much density.
You wanna hear some real girl rotting? When I looked at this image, my first thought was, where do you put the big TV?
Yeah. But where do you put the bayonet?
Because I'm
the
you
world
can
is
show
your
me
TV.
this view, and I'm like, cool. How
Right.
do I watch movies?
yeah.
Yeah,
Right, well,
and also,
I-
like, with that much window space all the time, you'll just have sun, like, hitting
Oh,
your screen.
the
It'll just
glare,
be
You
the
gotta
awful.
get one of those,
glare.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
insane
Yeah.
Samsung
I
anti-glare
can't
TV. Yeah.
game under these conditions.
Yeah, I have the aluminum foil over the windows like a crack house, but that's just so the glare doesn't bother me when I play Counter Strike.
Selling one of these to the world's richest trans woman, and she has done this in order to like put one gaming
There's like
chair.
there's one floor that keeps color shift LED lighting at night.
There's like the cheapest possible dog cage in one corner. She's got a Steam Deck and some
Steam
LGB light. She's got and some RGB
LGB
lighting.
lighting.
Shut the fuck up.
Some Fortnite clan really regretting their investment that they can no longer get good.
Listen, she's gaming like an angel, but to get to like, you have to walk across that carpet, which is like crunched in Cheeto dust.
do you imagine the ping is good up there because like you're just running more cable, like
It's literally it's like hardwood at this point, but
Ugh.
Anyway, next
amongst
slide,
us?
please. So the other question, of course, is why is this particular part of the world so stupidly expensive? Well, the first is it has
Dutch
literal
colonialism.
proximity. My people are a vile tribe, I readily admit. It's why I no longer live there. Haven't done for 15 plus years. I now live in Switzerland, where it's all normal. Do not at me. So no, it's literally its proximity to Wall Street and the offices of hedge funds, various new money cunts. This is not where old money lives, by the way. This is where new money lives. Old money already has the nice apartment blocks that are directly on the park. This is where the new money lives.
You still have the kind of verticality problem where it's like if your office is 2 blocks over, the fastest way there is to rig up some kind of a zip line.
Well, I couldn't
also,
find it because it's literally not available online. But when they started marketing the apartments for this, not that you, I think, need to, but they still did. They did like a 5-minute movie with the guy. I forgot his name. Is it Philippe Petit, the high wire guy?
Yeah.
And he did a high wire walk to this building, and it was filmed. And like, essentially, the promo film, as I understand it, had no bearing to what you were actually buying. It was just like a series of arty shots. So I think technically you could high wire to your penthouse office in Morgan Stanley or wherever.
I want to see them try it. That should be conditional for living there.
It would make you less
could set up a
dependent on
zip line or
elevators.
like a Tyrolean traverse, but like with the wind speeds up there, if you didn't like get it right, like you would just like whirl around on it instead of like landing. It would just
I want to see it. Let's fucking go.
getting bird strike in the middle of my commute. Yes. Anyway, but like Central Park has historically been an area of extraordinary wealth. It was like that under the Vanderbilts, the Morgans. They built all the other fancy apartments on specifically the southern side. Some of the people who live here, or not either in Park 432 or other similar buildings, include Bill Ackman, Michael Dell, Ken Griffin, Lloyd Blankfein, some Chinese billionaires, some Russian billionaires, just your favorite people all live there, and they're also crucially these are all money storage facilities. They're all bought on the assumption that they will increase in value or stay in value, and also the apartments are protected by U.S. law. They are protected by a purchase price in the still reserve currency of the world. We'll see how long that lasts, and you also have a bolt hole in case
When does this podcast get released again? It might be
Bill Ackman's sort of very, very long 4 a.m. tweets make more sense when I consider that he might be having to sleep like sort of half a mile into the sky.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I usually, in most circumstances, I tend to push back on all these new apartments or vacant narrative for most buildings, but for these sorts of buildings, yeah, no, this is an investment vehicle first.
They're also all like, not to be sort of trad and based here, they're all ugly as sin.
that middle one, I believe, is 111 57th, which is the one that I was reading about before we recorded, because I got really fascinated by it because the developer's main goal with it was to be the tallest non-union built skyscraper in the city of New York.
Fuck my life. Jesus Christ.
And they ended up actually like getting criminally charged with screwing over all their employees on like overtime wages and not contributing to like New York's like workman's comp fund, and they were all really guilty of it, but none of them went to prison and they finished the building.
I believe
No
that
moral.
currently the most expensive one of these buildings, again, that's not in Park 432, but in another one, belongs to Ken Griffin of Citadel Security and arch nemesis of the GameStop freaks. He bought it for $238 million, I think, a couple of years ago. That's like the top end. But that's just bragging rights. At that point, you're just doing status symbol bullshit. Like, this is not.
Yeah, I mean that's just based on the images of this and like also all of the livability complaints. That just you can buy like an incredibly nice turn of the century like 9,000 square foot house in Seattle for like $2 million. I don't know what it is in New York. I don't
You could
browse
get-
Zillow there, but like why I don't whatever.
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
not
you
rich,
can
I
rent
don't
like
need
a
to ask
small
this.
apartment around here for that money. It's great.
you could, if you wanted to spend that kind of money on an actual decent apartment, you could get it in some of the nice big pre-war apartment buildings that they have a huge rambling floor plans and so on and so forth. They go for several tens of millions of dollars in these older buildings. The fun fact, you can also buy that in Chicago for $110,000.
I think for this money, you could probably buy like the other half of Detroit and then start like a rival police force to match that other freak who keeps buying private police forces there. You could do the Warriors 2025 edition is what I'm saying.
I've created Windsor too.
Anyway, next slide, please. So these buildings are all quite new. This is from September 2007, and as you can see, none of them exist.
Not to be an asshole, but I do not believe this image is from 2007.
It was according to the caption on the
closer.
website where I legally acquired it from.
Something here. Two somethings, in fact.
I was just listening politely, and I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll believe that, absolutely." I
Picture
forgot.
taken
I
in
said I would never
2007,
do
but
that.
with a time machine.
I said I would never do that, but I forgot.
No, but it's whatever. I might have been slightly off, but my general point stands. These towers are all quite new. They were all built in the 2010s, essentially. Why were they built like that? Let's swiftly move on from the thing that didn't happen. Billionaires Row and like the other Needle Towers in Manhattan were all built in the 2010s, like I was saying, but many of them are not quite as valuable as like the record prices for construction for the apartments as then achieve. What turns out to be
has there been some
really,
kind
really
of
difficult
downturn in
is
the economy?
This is post the big downturn. This is 2010s. So like, the hard thing is resale. So like the first person to buy it buys it for various reasons, as we discussed before. The second person to buy it, they might want to live in it and they don't like it as much. But essentially what you're looking at here is one of the results of the post 2008 recession. And what was happening in New York at the time is because most real estate had collapsed. And there was so much like stimulus and other money still like floating around looking for returns. And the bet was that a couple of these super expensive towers would attract like the only people left with real money in real estate, which is people with ultra high net worth, with disposable cash, who still want super fancy apartments or want an investment for later. So that's why Park 432 and the other towers were built in this time at that time, because it was a bet that the real estate market in Manhattan was still functioning for people, for billionaires and for people for whom the 2008 recession fundamentally didn't matter to their bank account, like not really, not substantially. And so between 2009 and 2020, about 22,000 odd new units, new condos or whatever, were built in Manhattan across 530 new buildings. So about 44 apartments per new build. So they're all quite closely cramped together. And a lot of those were very, very expensive because they were specifically targeted at the ultra wealthy. The problem is, though, very wealthy people don't need a $20 or $30 million condo. They already have 5 houses. They probably already have an apartment in New York. So it's just a toy. And the people who buy these condos at the price premium of a new build versus a resale can be very high. Like the new build, the first sale is super, super high. The resale is much lower. According to the New York Times, the developers would try to ask for about 118% more for a first sale than for a resale, because like they have to get their money out. So like Park 432 cost like $1 billion, give or take, to construct. They got $3 billion back in the end, but like the first sale was super important for all the developers to get their money out, also in case things go wrong, as we'll talk about in a bit. And this also means that like a lot of demand, or like a lot of these apartments, stay vacant. According to the New York Times, this is 2020, so it's a bit older, but like there were about 7,000 condos available for sale in New York. So that represents about 6 years worth of inventory for Manhattan, for Manhattan. And a normal market clears through its full inventory in 2 to 3 years. So what you're looking at is like an empty or an unsold housing stock that's sitting there twice as long than a normal market would bear. But because it's Manhattan and because it's so expensive, normal humans do not buy these. So these things just sit there being empty. And I'm sure that
you know what you got to do, man.
Yeah.
Come on.
Wow.
It's time to go, buddy.
Well, for reasons we'll get
$1,000
into,
a month,
it would
rent control those suckers.
be very, very difficult to retrofit these buildings so that normal people
So
could
they're
live
usable?
in them.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a
Yeah,
cruel
later.
thing to
Yeah.
do to normal people. Yeah.
Maybe we use them as like prisons or something. I don't know.
Oh, it's like the Four Seasons when MBS did that, whatever.
That's
kill.
inhumane. Yeah. I don't think it's ethical to turn a sort of like respectable, honorable, ordinary criminal into Bill Ackman, you know?
you just filmed the next Judge Dredd movie in there. They just have like another Sky Tower to go into.
That's how we punish the billionaires when we finally take power. We make them live in the condos they own.
When our turn comes, we will make no mistake. We will make no apologies for the terror, but it's just you can't get DoorDash.
We will make no apologies for the making you live in your own apartment.
Oh my god! Imagine that though. Like you get like an Uber Eats or something, and you just want it at your penthouse. It's going to take half an hour. Like your burger's going to be stone cold.
It says meet at lobby.
All right, time to put on the adventure clothes.
Lacing on the hiking boots.
Yeah.
So basically, a lot of these towers, what they did fundamentally in the end, like where the situation is now, is create like a severe oversupply of some of the most expensive condos in the world, because it's such a tiny market that you're aiming for. And these people can afford to be incredibly choosy. So like Park 432 sold out 90% when it opened, which was really high. But there have been other buildings we'll get into towards the end where like the sale rate has been a fucking disaster. And like right now, building one of these things is almost like a surefire way to lose money, which is the good news. The bad news is, of course, next slide, please, is for everybody else who lives in New York City. This is it. There are many reasons that locals hate these buildings, but one of the big ones is they act like a giant sundial. They throw actual shade across the city because they're so high. This is one of them. You can see the sun move, and this is where shade starts. So like you can be sitting in Central Park enjoying the sunshine, and then all of a sudden you are literally in the shade of one of these gigantic billionaire towers for like an hour or something because it's just a giant sundial. It takes away the sun. It's Mr. Burns hours.
I'm gonna say this: New York City is disgusting swamp ass city. It's 90 degrees out for 8 months of the year. If I'm sitting in the sheep meadow here, I want that shade. Give me that shade.
Our new plan. Roof New York City. We can get like one of the roofers unions in on this as well. We can get some nice sort of like DSA style art of Manhattan with a big eave over it.
Oh, this could be our office.
Buckminster Fuller already had that idea to build a geodesic dome over Manhattan.
No,
he
you gotta
said
do
it. He said it would pay for himself. It would pay for itself in snow removal costs in only 10 years.
Sure, man.
You got to do it like T-Mobile Park, where you can like roll it off on like the 3 nice days a year.
I don't understand
just like
why we don't buy one of
the
these
roof
instead
of New York. Yeah.
Covering Albany because you've like pulled the
if you're
roof off of New York for the day.
I'm putting it back. Everyone behave down there.
Yeah, I just want to put myself down as pro shade.
I mean, you presumably you can put it
insane.
like in a big roll, like all those things you put on the outside of a camper van to create like a little shaded area in the sun. So you just just create like a giant tube on the side on Staten Island or something. I mean, they're not using that for anything good. So like we'll do it like that. And obviously, of course, like the main thing is it's the grotesque inequality thing. You have to look at these quite ugly, horrible places where the worst people in the world live, try to build a tower towards God and they can't spit on you because they can't open the window, but they would if they could. And of course, none of these towers contain any affordable or social housing. None of them. They just they do not. They do contain servants' quarters, which is fun, but we'll get into that in a moment. But
oh my God.
Yeah, and also like if you build this high, even barring the elevator problem, there's very few. Let me try that again. There's very few actual housing units for the amount of space on the ground or in the sky that they take up. So they're not exactly like removing the problem of overcrowding in Manhattan or in New York City. There's almost 80,000 unhoused people currently in New York. So they're not getting, for various reasons, they're not getting in here. But current zoning laws for this part of Manhattan do not require that any of these sites have any affordable housing whatsoever. So these are only for the richest people in the world and like their servant class, like designated servants.
Yeah, I mean these sorts of luxury buildings. I mean, there's some places where there are like requirements for affordable housing. A lot of times you can get out of that by like paying into some housing trust fund that a lot of cities like to keep on hand. The problem is they never do anything with that money. So inclusionary zoning. I mean, that could be a whole episode. I mean, nice in theory. A lot of times it doesn't really work.
I look forward to our zoning episode in which we would
actually all have to kill ourselves.
Yeah, the madness rune standing by.
You get the fucking abundance guys on and you just whine about California for a couple of hours in a row. It'd be great.
Whoa! When I signed up for this, you did not tell me that I was gonna have to talk to Ezra Klein. I'm out. I quit.
Yeah, I also quit.
I resign right now.
See ya. I will be taking my stamp of Nova signature with me. Thank you and good luck with your super tall skyscraper.
So, I know for the reason the editor of his podcast listens to this podcast, so.
So like the reason these towers can or could, there's been some changes now, be built so high is due to some workarounds and like legal things to do with building in Manhattan. And that's because some of the interior of these towers is not actually apartments. They are what is technically or legally, statutorily known as a mechanical void, where instead of more apartments, you just have
Banger
like
name.
a giant floor of nothing. Next slide, please. So this is a representation of a mechanical void that's actually in use in New York City. This is a tower block on West 66th Street, which is a modest development by luxury standards. You can get in there for like $7-8 million for the small apartment. So, not that bad. And the blue area you see on the right-hand side is the proposed or the built, I think this is built now, but I could be wrong, mechanical void. So these have been banned since May 2019 by the New York City Council. But a lot of these billionaire needle towers were built in the time where this is still allowed. So this is how it worked before 2019. So city regulations cap the number of floors any building can have, which depends a lot on the location as well as the size of like the ground lot. But before 2019, it didn't set a limit on the height of any particular floor. And mechanical floors, where they put the HVAC, where they put stuff for the elevators, pumps, all that kind of jazz, these are exempt from counting as floor area under zoning laws. So what you do if you want to build a super high tower, but not like, go over other limits, is you just put the HVAC in one floor that you just make 5 times the size of a normal floor. So you have just like this incredible like empty space in the middle of the building where just like the HVAC pumps live, because you can make that 4 floors high or something without transgressing technically any of the rules. There was one proposed building. I don't know if that was built or not. I think that was a proposal that got scuppered, but they were going to have a mechanical void of 161 meters tall.
That's
161 feet, so 50 meters tall.
Yeah.
So like you could fit like the building of Grand Central Station in there comfortably with room to spare, and it would just be empty space. So the apartments above with more view, you could sell for more money.
I'm going to say
really tall
Grand Central Station is the subway station. The building is Grand Central Terminal.
Thank you.
So like one planner, when the New York Times, talked to people about this particular sort of loophole, they said that like the max you would need for an actual mechanical void, because it is a real thing that buildings do actually need, including Park 432, that like the maximum level you would need for like all the machinery, all the pipe works, etc., would be like about 15 feet.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
about 5 meters max.
These like, you're talking like stuff like big pumps. You're talking like recirculating chilled water, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
These machines are big. They're not that big, right? Even like if you have, I don't know, some of the stupid advanced new mechanical systems, all the super energy efficient stuff, which does have to be bigger a lot of the times. 15 feet's going to be fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 161 feet, possibly a bit much. I mean, again, I'm not sure whether or not that one was actually built, but there are like ones that are 40 feet, 50 feet, 100 feet high, just empty space, just to raise the floor on the expensive apartments that you actually want to sell above. It's just lunacy that they allowed this. There are 2 other things. These are, I think, a bit more well known. Next slide, please. Yeah, so this is transfer of development rights. These are also known as air rights. If the building next to you hasn't maxed out on its number of floors, you can sell your extra floors, put them on top of the neighboring building, and then they can build higher because collectively you are...
You're
this
like
feels like carbon credits.
Kulak?
Like,
there's a reason for this. I put on the next slide.
And the other thing, this is the floor to area ratio. This is... if you have a bigger floor, a bigger footprint, then you can build less buildings. If you only use half the footprint, you can build more floors on top. So one of the reasons that like Park 432 has a ratio of 15:1 in terms of height versus floor is because that allows it legally also to be much taller than anything else. That allows it to go so high up in the sky. So this is
floor area ratio regulations are sort of what replaced the old regulations that made you step back on every floor. This is less prescriptive than that, which means that, rather than having a nice old Art Deco building, I can have a plaza and then build, the Seagram's building, right?
Yeah. Anyway, speaking of air rights, next
Yeah.
slide.
So air rights, how did this happen, right? This sort of goes back to the cause of all problems in the world, the Penn Central Railroad.
Meeting worms #1.
Yeah. So everyone remembers the Pennsylvania Railroad. In the early 60s, they decide, we don't need this ratty old Penn Station anymore. We'll demolish it and put up beautiful Madison Square Garden.
Fuck
Right.
you.
Ooh,
And
hiss.
that was of course an architectural landmark everyone immediately loved. No, that didn't happen, right? They tore the thing down. Everyone got really mad. That led to all this outcry. Eventually, I'm simplifying this a lot, but led to a lot of outcry and the creation of the New York City Landmarks Preservation Commission, so that no one could do something like that again, right?
And
all we have to do is
was
watch the
well.
rags play.
Yeah. So the Pennsylvania Railroad merged with the New York Central Railroad, suddenly found themselves with another ratty old trade station that they wanted off their books, Grand Central Terminal, right? The problem is Grand Central Terminal was now landmarked, whatever the hell that meant, right? So the first plan they come up with is the big hyperbolide tower. This is an IMP. Is it IMP or IMP? I forget.
Hey,
I am
Pay,
pay.
excuse me.
I am pay.
Why? My brain's not working. I should have had that immediately. Anyway, this was going to be 2,000 feet tall. It was going to be, the tallest building in the world, so on and so forth. Of course, you completely level the head house, right? This was actually proposed in, I think, 54. So that's prior to the Landmark Commission. This never got off the ground.
It's a real shame, you had a real chance to install, Sauron on top of there, and then, Mamdani would never have been mayor in that circumstance, is all I'm saying.
I hate to say it is actually a pretty good looking building. So this didn't happen. Grand Central Terminal was still around. So the railroad has to, they're like, we're still going to try and figure out how can we maximize the value of this downtown real estate, which is currently a useless train station, right? The second proposal was 175 Park Avenue here, which is just, okay, we're going to jam a big boxy office tower on top of Grand Central Terminal, right? And we're going to have like the foundations go straight through like the front of it. So I think this mostly preserved the main hall. A lot of the other spaces gone, right? And the Landmarks Preservation Commission took one look at this plan and said, fuck you. And the railroad said, well, fuck you too. And they sued the city, right? This case was Penn Central Transportation Company versus New York City. It goes right up to the Supreme Court. It centers around this basic issue, right? Is the designation of a building as historic, thereby preventing modifications by private owners, considered a taking under the Fifth Amendment, right? Or what that means is, okay, should the railroad be financially compensated for the loss of the use of their air rights?
And in a 6-3 split decision, they came back and said, well, we don't care, but it does have to have separate bathrooms. And they didn't explain themselves anymore.
So this was back when the Supreme Court was more liberal, and they come through and they say, nah, you don't have to do shit. So historic preservation was saved. But this idea of transferable air rights sort of sticks around. People look at it and say, that's not such a bad idea. So eventually they throw the railroad a bone and say, yeah, you can sell those air rights to someone else because you can't use them. So they can then use them to build a bigger building somewhere else. Right?
Yeah, so carbon credits, as Victoria says.
Yeah, exactly. I'm usually this is restricted to adjacent parcels of land, which did screw over the Penn Central because Grand Central Terminal is entirely surrounded by a road, and therefore there are no adjacent parcels. But
Car culture wins again.
yeah,
Suck shit, Penn Central.
but outside of this particular spot, this has been very useful for these pencil towers, right? I want to say there is a good graphic of this, I think, in New York Times a while back. I couldn't find it. But one of the big ones, I think 157, they strung together a chain of historic buildings several dozen lots long to allow them to build it to the final height of 1,004 feet.
That's insane.
They just did like weird swaps of properties so that the property lines changed around and they touched like a dozen historic buildings just barely. It's like, yep, that's an adjacent parcel.
We gerrymandered a skyscraper. Fuck you.
So yeah, and it's interesting. This system doesn't really exist outside of New York City, to my knowledge. I do not believe we have it in Philadelphia. I can't speak for everywhere because these laws are all very local. There's no National Historic Preservation law that has teeth. I mean, we have a National Register of Historic Places, but that doesn't mean anything. If you have a National Register building, you can just tear that down. It's fine. It doesn't matter as long as you don't use government money.
In Seattle, our tallest skyscraper, because Seattle is so hilly, they just built it wide enough that it's got three floors of ground level retail, which they then daisy chained the bonus for height for each floor of retail. So they got to add like 30 extra stories on it versus what like Seattle was actually allowing at the time as maximum.
Oh shit.
And they were like, oh cool, we're just gonna build this all the way up. And then the FAA was like, guys, what the fuck? We have planes right here. And that's the functional limit because the landing path for SeaTac is
fuck you.
I will just make a big hole in the building the planes can fly through. Yeah,
just slide like a business card across the table that says McDonald's Douglas, and they're like, okay, okay.
Personally, I think every airport should be like Kai-Tak pre the demolition of the Kowloon walled city, where you get to look at people's like kitchens as you land. But you know, that's just because I'm progressive. I'm all about that abundance mindset. I digress.
I like fun regulatory nonsense like this. I think it's fun.
Makes you get inventive with it, you know?
I know, right? Make them work for it.
Yeah.
Do some weird shit. So yeah, that's what I got on that.
Yeah. So anyway, in short, like we have now this series of needle towers in New York City. They're all new build. They are a market of the worst people in the world. They ruin the skyline. They create shadows. They don't build affordable housing. They're only possible through various.
You like that for some reason.
Architectural and regulatory loopholes, and you know they do not in any way, shape, or form house people in some of the most congested and densely populated cities in the world with sky high demand, and as I say again, 80,000 unhoused people. And let's see how that goes.
Yeah,
the
so
painting's
just so
nice.
how you've got us like all sympathizing for us. For them,
yeah. And I like that painting. It's there for no good reason. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, sure.
Also, we're like 19 minutes in and we're just going to start talking about the building, so this is going well.
Yeah, well, there's your problem, dickheads. It never ends.
Hi, it's Justin. So this is a commercial for the podcast that you're already listening to. People are annoyed by these, so let me get to the point. We have this thing called Patreon, right? The deal is you give us $2 a month and we give you an extra episode once a month. Sometimes it's a little inconsistent, but it's $2. You get what you pay for. It also gets you our full back catalog of bonus episodes so you can learn about exciting topics like guns, pickup trucks, or pickup trucks with guns on them. The money we raise through Patreon goes to making sure that the only ad you hear on this podcast is this one. Anyway, that's something to consider if you have $2 to spare each month. Join at patreon.com WTYP pod. Do it if you want. Or don't. It's your decision, and we respect that. Back to the show. You got me thinking. You got me thinking about one thing. Are these actually all new build? Because I think there might be an exception, but that's only if a certain building that I whatchamacallit. Where are we? It's in Lower Manhattan. I found it. Shit. I'm not sure if it's a residential conversion yet, though. 70 Pine in Lower Manhattan, one of the older office towers, which, is now a residential conversion. I bet that is now retroactively a pencil tower.
This thing does look like it fucks, though.
Yeah, no, it's a good building, but it is very narrow and very tall.
That is, but that's quite cool. I like that. That's pretty sick.
Yeah, guess what? We make the rules. You don't. Fuck you.
Yeah. Okay,
Anyway.
so we got one retroactive pencil tower.
Yeah. Anyway, next slide, please. So we are finally on the object of today's podcast.
Yes.
This is 432 Park Avenue. Just some general statistics so you get the gist of it. It was built on the site of the old Drake Hotel. The site was sold to the developers for about $660 million in current dollar value. It moves through this incredibly complicated financial history due to the financial crash 2008. I got very sidetracked and I had to delete all those slides because we would never not be here anymore otherwise. I will only mention in passing the financial interest of one Paul Manafort, who at one time owned part of the site, because he got some funding from a Russian oligarch called Dmitry Firtash, who is an alleged Russian organized crime boss. And he got the money through embezzling more money from Ukrainian natural gas extraction. So, that's New York real estate really is quite something when it comes to money. When it opens in
it's nice to know, as I'm sort of like imprisoned in my kind of sky hell, that it was sort of like funded maximally unethically.
We'll also
I think
say
that's a selling point to these fucking animals.
Yeah.
Drake Hotel was a nice old-fashioned hotel building.
Yep.
Now, I mean, those are sort of a dime a dozen in New York City, at least the buildings. But it was an issue in that, they did demolish a hotel for this, which is a problem because hotels are illegal to build in New York City.
What? Can you elaborate on that?
Hotels are illegal to build in New York City.
Oh, that's right.
Okay,
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
I'll incorporate that into my
You can't
belief
build a
system.
hotel in New York City. It doesn't no one can do it. It doesn't pencil out. It is effectively illegal. I'm not sure of the specifics, but
I was asking
you
about the
can't build a
specifics, yes.
hotel in New York City.
I hate that fucking place, man.
New challenge for the listener.
Build a hotel in New York City.
So when 432 Park opens, it was at the time the third tallest building in the United States and the tallest residential building in the world. It's since been superseded by two of its neighbors, Central Park Tower and 111 West 57th Street, which are, as you will have seen, or if you remember the skyline, they're basically neighbors. Of the 106 apartments available, about 40 are known as accessory suites, and they are meant to house your accessories, your nannies, personal assistants, personal chefs, people that you want to have around, but you don't want to see, these are the servants' quarters. These are, of course, housed on the lowest floors because the upper floors are for the real people, where the real people live.
Yeah.
The median unit sells at somewhere between $11 to $90 million. It achieves a 90% sale rate, which is pretty impressive. About $900 million in profit for the developers when it went on sale. In 2021, the penthouse went up for sale for almost $170 million. And was last sold in 2025 for just 61. So it does not your real estate doesn't always go up in value because people just simply don't want it.
Damn, that's like a Hyundai Ioniq 5 depreciation.
Yes.
I think I dropped there, but hopefully my stream is
Yeah.
still.
It really is the carbon. It like genuinely, this is like the carbon credits of buildings.
It has 84 numbered stories and is segmented into 12-story blocks, followed by a double-story open space, which allows wind gusts to pass through the building, because otherwise you'd have big wind problems. We'll get into that in a moment. And it also has, as best you can manage with concrete, a pure white lattice exterior of poured-in-place concrete, where the exteriors are made of Portland cement. That will be quite important later for how it's going now. We have to briefly talk about the architect. Next slide, please.
What the fuck are these things?
This is
curvy buildings.
These look like cities skylines, like achievement buildings.
I'm so happy to see you. This is my Mazda 3.
This is
Fuck
really
off.
gonna put my kind of southwestern, like growing city on the map. I feel.
So on the left,
And
you
I
see
know one of these is the walkie-talkie, the one that
Yes,
had the
it
death
is.
ray, the melted
Oh,
cars.
the death ray. Yeah.
So on the left, you see the architect, Raphael Vignoli. He's one of the big time architects, like Zaha Hadid. Like, if you want to make a big fuck off statement building that shows how rich you are, how cool you are, you get him, or you got him. He's since died, but he's one of
Well,
those
so
guys.
Zaha Hadid,
Much
but it
like
hasn't
Zaha
stopped her
Hadid, yeah.
working.
Yeah, exactly.
I think
she's
his
come from
his
beyond the grave
practice.
to hire
his-
lots of slaves in Saudi Arabia and cut her.
Well,
in
his
places
son,
like that,
I think, took over his architectural bureau or practice. So, the name certainly lives on. Weirdly enough, he's originally trained as a classical pianist, and later in life, when he had a lot of money, he built what he called a piano house on his own compound to house his 9 classical pianos.
I don't want to hear a single person ever pocket watching podcasters ever again.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't have a fucking piano house, right? You should be getting mad at like 24 architects.
why would you? Who do you hire to build a piano house?
The
He
piano
hired
man,
himself. He designed it.
obviously.
Yeah,
fuck-
Billy Joel. Dude.
No, you get Renzo. You get Renzo Piano to do that. Come on, it's his name. God, sometimes it's like a lawyer representing himself. I
But I have to have somewhere to store all of my Saarinen.
So yeah, like November was saying, he also did the walkie-talkie in London.
Who will I hire to store all of my mediocre Australian lagers?
Yeah, this is the Foster's building of my compound. So yeah, like November was saying, he also did the walkie-talkie in London and the Vidara resort in Las Vegas, both of which have one thing in common: is they both love to focus sunlight on very small patches. The walkie-talkie being quite famous for it. The Las Vegas one apparently for a while was hot enough to singe hair and melt plastic cups in the hotel pool, which is
that may have just been normal Las Vegas heat.
Yeah, how could they tell? The London one I remember because it melted cars. It not into like a puddle, right? But it would like burn off the paint on the bonnet or whatever. And because if you're parking a car in central London, you are also a rich psycho who you should be getting mad at for making too much money instead of me. And so like you would be able to go to the papers and get mad at the architect.
Yeah.
I was reading an article about this on NBC. I'll just read you one quote from it. I said to the staff, I don't know if you know what's going on out there, but I was being burned. And they're like, yeah, we know. We call it the death ray.
That's beautiful customer service. I see you've experienced our torture device. We have a cute name for it.
I see you've attended a Well, There's Your Problem live show.
Yeah, we know. We call it the death ray.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we should make some alterations to the global headquarters so we will have a focusable death ray.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Big
can use
magnifying
against our
glass on an
enemies.
extending arm.
One Archimedes place.
So let's talk a little bit about the initial design, because that is quite important. The developer, a guy called Harry Macklow, wanted what he called a statement building. So he wanted a
I
big
hope that guy's
fuck off.
nice.
show building, and he commissioned Vignoli to make it work. So the demand was for a perfectly rectilinear building that was both super tall and super skinny. It has a ratio of 15:1, so it's 15 high for every one across, basically. The Empire State Building, just by comparison, only has a 3:1 ratio, and that's because it's an older building, so it has a flared base and it steps up rather than going straight.
Gotcha.
Yes.
This thing not safely insertable.
I was
No,
gonna
do not
say,
do that.
yeah, we did it.
So all this results in a building that is 93.5 feet wide and long, and
It's
1,000.
a fine building, but like, why did you put the tuned mass damper in such a way that there's a sort of noticeable bulge about like a third of the way up from the base? Don't worry, if you don't get that one, don't worry about it.
It is almost, but not quite, 1,400 feet high. It tops out at 1,396. And it's a perfectly square design that is mirrored in the square windows and the cast concrete white exterior. It's all supposed to be straight, clean lines, white. This is also why it has a completely flat roof, which will also become important later.
Vignoli said that this was inspired by a trash can, which...
Yes.
If I was paying $100 million for an apartment, I would not want to say that I lived in the apartment building inspired by a trash can, but go off, I guess.
Well,
It's confusing what rich people like.
It sure is, brother.
Having worked on rich people's buildings before, I don't understand it.
I mean, the trash will become a feature of some of the many problems to do with this building.
The trash is my favorite problem. me forgetting the names of my podcasts. No, I genuinely we'll get to it. But the trash solution in this building is my favorite thing about it by far.
Yeah. This is next slide, please.
Join me, Mr. Chapo, in the retail cube.
It's mostly your sort of standard-ish skyscraper build. It's got a 30-foot reinforced concrete core with 30-inch walls that house the elevator shafts, mechanical services, etc., which is surrounded by open floor apartments and an exoskeleton, which is connected to the inner tube by 5 outriggers that you can see on the right. Those are like open floors, and they connect the skeleton firmly to the inner core, which houses the elevators, etc. This is what the exoskeleton, so the skeleton looks like. Next slide, please.
There.
So this is the exterior, the facade of Park 432, which, unlike like a normal skyscraper, where like you sort of, for the bit that you see, the bit that's like, the decorative part that people gaze upon, that's sort of like bolted to the outside, and it's not really structural. It's just put on the outside of the metal frame. With this one, the frame, like the facade, is the part of the structure. The building cannot stand without the exterior. It is an integral part. The facade is structure, and the structure is the facade. So it's the same thing. So
sounds like Marshall McLuhan.
Presumably they actually presented this drawing somewhere with all this fucking Z fighting. Oh my god.
Yes, it says that I signed off on this.
Yeah, you did.
Where did I get a professional engineer
something
stamp?
I can look at?
So like if this, like the outside bit, like I say, because the facade is structural, were to start, I don't know, developing cracks or something, that might be bad. But this is simply a device known as foreshadowing.
Yes.
The idea is that the exterior is, but like it's not connected to your apartment directly. What you can see on the right hand side is, because if the exterior were to be connected, like if your windows were to be like completely set into, and if the exterior walls were the facade, you would have like too much wind movement. You would experience too much of the building swaying in the wind and moving about. So what they did is they essentially built like these steel cages on every floor on top of the concrete floor, but it is unconnected to the floor above. So like your apartment rests only on the concrete floor below, then there's a gap, and then the next floor happens. That's what you can see on the right-hand side. The cage stops, and that's like connecting tubes and whatnot. But like
This is
your
not like
apartment rests only on the concrete floor below you. It's not physically connected to the one above you. That's also to help your apartment not sway around if all the floors were connected.
Yeah, this gives you some advantages, like you got some space up here. You don't have to air condition as much. Obviously you need the studs where you can mount the drywall and all that stuff. And it prevents like thermal bridging to the outside through these big concrete members, which otherwise, they'd be bringing the hot and cold in, as well as the movements from the wind and so on and so forth.
It'll also cost less to convert it to billionaire prison because the cages are already like pre-installed.
Good point.
So at this point, we have to spend a little bit of time talking about the effects of wind on super tall needle towers. Next slide, please.
Is it good? Is it less than expected?
Is what I want.
Is that why we're talking about it? Are we talking about it because it's not an issue?
Because it's not a problem. It's never been a problem. Aeolus is our friend. It's fine.
Yeah.
So what wind does to all very tall buildings, but specifically to these super tall needle towers, basically, the more slender, the taller the building, the more likely it is to be lively. In severe storm weather with gusts of wind up to 100 miles an hour, a tower of 1,000 feet, so like a third lower than Park 432, might sway up to 2 feet in either direction. That, as you will imagine, will be noticeable if you live
wiggly. Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
No, that's the thing outside a car dealership.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
It's not that bad, but it's not good. You would
We
be
made
unhappy.
Bill Ackman live in the inflatable tube thing outside a car dealership.
Stuff won't fall over, but you will get seasick.
Yeah. Yeah, you put Bill Ackman in the Wiggler, and
Yeah.
that's just the life you live now. So, because 432 Park is twice as tall as any of the other surrounding buildings, apart from its more taller neighbors now, and New York City is quite close to what we affectionately known as the sea or the ocean, it catches like a lot of high winds and high wind speeds.
What we affectionately know as the sea or the ocean is accidentally a perfect Trump phrasing.
I've
Very
never
wet
been
in
prouder.
terms of water.
And so wind loading, so like these deformations start to affect windows specifically, so like windows and window frames, if the width to height ratio is 1 in 5, and Park 432 is 1 in 15. So the effect is very, very strong. And if you don't control these impacts of wind, your building is essentially going to do the deformation dance, which isn't good for you or the building you live in. And even at sub-catastrophic levels can impact elevator movements because the shaft is no longer perfectly aligned, and like wind tunnels wind forces shoot up through the elevator tunnel. That also stops elevators from moving.
Ooh, scary. Okay,
Yeah.
sure. I live in the
dear.
Tacoma Narrows Bridge building.
Yeah. It can warp the facade. It can deform or
Your
crack
shit just
glazing.
moves sliding around like you're on the deck of the Titanic, just like, oh no, my $1 million couch. Somebody call my window/shotgun guy.
And also, like, even at like non-catastrophic level of impact on winds, like these dynamic motions can create like real discomfort if you live in these ultra high-rise towers. Lateral acceleration, vibration, and even the perception of movement is enough to make people seasick or like frightened.
now with like ultra processed food, gout is no longer a disease of the rich. So it's good that we still have diseases of the rich.
Yes.
Yeah. So like, and especially on the higher floors, even with all the insulation and everything they put in between you and the facade, you could still hear the building like creak and groan. And if you're on the 86th floor of your needle tower and the wind is blowing outside, that may or may not be comforting to you. That's
really going to interfere with that Puppy Girls League game.
What I'm seeing from this diagram, though, right, which is interesting. I mean, okay, you have actual deformed shape. I assume this is all exaggerated from shear and flexural deformation here. It does look a lot like when you add shear and flexural, it's going to move around a lot at the top, but it's basically in one piece, right? What's really going to get you is somewhere like, I don't know, 10 or 15 stories up where, the whole building is just bending,
Yeah.
that's like
Yeah.
all of the forces are right concentrated there.
Yeah, but
which
don't,
is
don't worry. Those
crazy.
are those are the floors where the service people live. So don't worry about that too much. They're not really.
I guess so.
human,
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Yeah,
Put
like
some,
you can get
put some
another
trash
nanny.
bags where the window. Yeah.
Our nanny's
Put some
people.
trash bags where the window was.
Yeah. Our nanny's people, longest thread in the history of forums. Next slide, please. So you get all of the deformation. You also get this, which is called vortex shedding, which is quite an awesome term,
Banger
and
name.
it specifically affects these very tall buildings. Basically, the taller you build, the more wind impact you have, and the more vortex you therefore
never want to
have.
get into what I think of as like helicopter aerodynamics,
No. Well, I mean, I don't know what you're talking about, Nova. Like helicopters are perfectly safe. Never been any in accident with those. So like
crashing an experimental secret version of 432 Park Avenue onto Osama bin Laden's compound in what they're calling the most ironic revenge for 9/11.
So basically, when a vortex forms on the side of a building, it creates a suction force. The force then generated by this vortex is like, it's not so large in of itself that like it can create like a catastrophic motion or anything like that. But the problem is these vortexes form because of prevailing wind directions and your building not really going anywhere. They form in like well-organized patterns, and that rock the building as they move individually from side to side. But they do that continuously quite a lot because winds do tend to come from one direction or the other. So like your building is constantly moving in the same directions, and you need to account for that in your design properly. And certainly, if the facade is critical to the stability of the building, that's really quite important that you do that. And what makes it worse is if you were to say build a statement building with sharp 90-degree rectilinear angles, because
I
like
was going to say you don't find a lot of like strictly rectangular forms in nature, do you?
not as many as
No.
you'd think. No.
Yeah,
Although
It's
box
quite
turtle
a
is a thing.
affrontive form.
Did you just say a box turtle is a thing?
Yeah, get it? 'Cause
Liam,
it's a
do you think
box.
a box turtle is in the
box.
shape
like
of a
in
box?
Yeah,
like
that's-
in
that's 'cause
Minecraft?
Like in
box.
Minecraft?
It's a box. It's in the name, dumbass.
Yeah, it's weird. You don't see as many death rays like naturally occurring, but one day maybe.
There's a supernova like every week. Come on. I mean,
Didn't
We
one
have
of
a
those
su-
get
yeah,
Steve Irwin?
that's because we recalled this.
What a supernova! Yeah, Steve Owen was killed by a gamma ray blast, like a gamma ray burst that just perfectly micro-targeted his heart.
yeah,
The Stingray, that was a cover-up.
that was coincidental.
So yeah, like a building with like these sharp 90-degree corners will create a greater vortex effect. That's like why a lot of the really tall buildings are not that. They're either stepped or they're curved, which allows the wind to like more naturally flow past buildings. Not Park 432,
Or they're
though.
just thicker.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
another option. Is just make the floor plate bigger.
Yes.
and possibly more rigid.
The
Yeah,
other
it's
thing you
big-
can
bigger
do
helps with
is vary the height of the building. So like build steps in it. Or you can like have different shapes along different compass points. So that monstrosity tower that's now I think the highest in the world, that thing in Dubai with all the sort of drum towers that are like glued together. Part of the
Oh,
reason
yeah.
that's done that way is it's stepped and it's curved because if you bolt like sort of non-sequential things together, the wind curves around it and sort of breaks apart because it can't create a vortex essentially. But again, Park 432 is designed specifically to be perfectly rectilinear, so it doesn't have any of these natural protections. What it does have is, next slide please,
Hold on.
is it has two main defenses. The first being the open drums that you can see in red on the right-hand side. These are literally two open floors where the wind passes through the building. So instead of just like slamming into it, they do break up this vortex effect, and they allow the wind to pass through the building apart from the central drum. And that stops the sway. It also stops these vortexes from becoming overly intense. The other thing that they have is, we were already talking about it before, is these tuned mass dampeners.
Big block of concrete.
Yeah.
On hydraulics.
On some springs. Yeah.
On some spring. Yeah. Well, no, they're in hydraulics. Springs aren't enough. You got to move it actively.
So these Park 432 has 2 of these on opposite sides of the central column, right on top of the building. You can see it on the right-hand side. On the top, it says tuned mass dampeners. They are on the tallest, like right beneath the penthouses, essentially. As discussed, they are there to counter wind motion and to sort of stop, to prevent counterforce to the sway of the building. And it should be enough to stop the building from getting blown over in like a mega storm or something like that. So the 2 tuned mass dampeners in Park 432 are 600 tons each. They consist of mass steel plates. They were ferried up in individual sections and then bolted together on top of the building. And they are attached to the building by springs. I think pistons, in this particular building.
I wonder how they did that. If the tower crane was still operational, or if they did something I like to call elevator abuse, which is actually fairly common in building renovations. One thing you can do is you sort of, let's say I need to get a big steel member into an upper floor of a building. I don't have a crane. So what do? Well, there's a thing in the building that already goes up and down, right? There's an elevator. So you cut out the weight sensors, you put the elevator on, some kind of independent service, and you sling the big steel section underneath the elevator, drive it to the top of the building, and then you just have to open up the doors of the floor below the building and just sort of pull it out somehow.
So like Guantanamo Bay, but for elevators. Is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. You can torture an elevator to get heavy things to the top of a building.
Just blasting Metallica down the shaft to make it go.
Oh, exactly.
I mean, technically, it's already in the stress position, so like,
are the open drums open to the public? Like, if you're in the penthouse, you want to go out for a smoke, and you just go down to like the closest
just
one to your floor, and just like
that'd be awesome. I'm not sure if you'd actually want to be there. I don't know what the wind speed is up there, but like, I
imagine it'd be pretty hard to get the lighter to work.
Yeah. I feel like there's got to be a lot of wind.
When it says windproof, it had better mean windproof.
We're gonna push windproof to the limit.
You're gonna lose your hat.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm paying 170 million for the penthouse, I want at least like a complimentary Gore-Tex jacket, so I don't freeze to death up there. Like that's the minimum.
Locking my like carabiner or my climbing harness into like a hard point on the sort of drum floor, and just spooling out a length of cable like an astronaut doing an EVA.
So yeah, like these open drum floors, is like I say, the main function is for them to like let the wind flow through. They're also at these 5 points there, like where the outriggers like extra fix the facade exterior to the internal column, and that provides structural rigidity and sort of makes the whole thing go. Apparently, though, like you don't, as regards the tuned mass dampeners, you don't strictly theoretically need them. The building, from the reading I've done, the building like shouldn't fall over if it didn't have them, but they do provide a much more like comfortable way of living, or any way of living. Maybe
it's got to be strictly for comfort, because you want the building to stand up if there's a horrible windstorm, which then causes a power outage, which it might do. So you can't like rely on the tuned mass damper to keep the building up. It has to be just, it's there to provide comfort. It's not there to keep the building up.
Yeah. But I mean, without it, it would be, I mean, and to be fair, there has been some proof, because as far if I understood it correctly, there have been 2 or 3 occasions where they've had to repair these tuned mass dampeners and the building didn't fall over while they were doing that. So, all's well that ends well, I guess.
Yeah.
I do like how rich people have invented an apartment building that if your power goes out, it gets significantly less comfortable to be in. Like even more so than the power went out.
Yeah.
It's like it's like a sort of more
The
extravagant version of
ride
that.
in my condo has gone to shit.
Yeah, it's like a more expensive version of that that stupid app connected bed from Amazon that all stopped working when there was a power outage when US East 1 went down from AWS and nobody's beds worked anymore, which was I can't remember the name of the company now, but was incredible. Anyway, next slide,
You
please.
could phone into the tuned mass damper and make it actually exacerbate the sway because you want to be on a roller coaster.
Doing cool tricks with it like a lowrider.
Yeah.
So this is the exterior cladding or the facade or, part of the structure of the building. This is poured in place because obviously like you can't prefab and then winch it up 86 floors. And it's poured in place concrete of this specific uniform shade of off-white, almost white, that gives the tower its specific, landmark look. During construction, they poured more than 70,000 cubic yards of concrete and 12,500 tons of rebar were used for the superstructure to keep the whole thing going. So, like I say, it's cast in place, and because you have to pump it up and it has to settle fast, this is a pumpable, self-consolidating mix with very little water in it. That will be relevant later. And according to Structure Magazine, the places you go for this podcast, the idea is you could have access to newly cast horizontal surfaces within 5 hours of placing. So it would dry super quick.
I really hope that Structure Magazine has like a good review of building show.
Yeah, maybe right there. Maybe they can write up, well, there's your problem. That,
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, I'm profiled in Structure Magazine.
You get a glossy, feature in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
To my knowledge, I had to go. I am now like trying to think back to my materials class. I was never a concrete guy. I always knew the masonry a lot better. None of this is like wrong per se.
No.
In terms of how you could put together a building, especially like when you're building a reinforced concrete high rise. A lot of the times, because normally concrete doesn't reach its full strength until 28 days later, as the movie goes. Yeah. But in the interim, what you do in order to build the building higher while the concrete is still curing is you put about 1 trillion shoring poles on each floor, right, as you build up. And then again, 28 days later, when all the zombies are dead, you go in and remove them, right?
Yeah, I think I have this in a slide later, but I think when they got really efficient with it, they could like pour a whole floor and then 3 days later put up the next one and 3 days later put up the next one. So it was a really fast process because of the way this concrete mix was specifically designed for Park 432.
Yeah, 3 days a floor is about average these days. Yeah.
Yeah. And like it also had, like I say, a really low water to cement materials ratio. And another thing that they
cement ratio
that they refuse to do is they refuse to mix in fly ash, which like creates a much more like stronger, more stable concrete, but it also causes the concrete to darken and gray. Which they didn't want.
They wanted white concrete specifically,
white, right?
And not painted, no kind of like facade over it. Just like the concrete itself has to be white.
Yes.
I want the visual of my house being built on sand.
I am again rusty on my material science, but fly ash is like coal ash from the power plant or something like that.
Yeah.
It goes in, it performs much of the same function that like volcanic ash performed in Roman concrete, just to make it very, very durable for a very, very long time. And mixing in fly ash in concrete is very common. Like most concrete has it. That's why it's great.
Yeah, but if you
Yeah, I
have
was gonna say, isn't like
anti-miscegenation
part of just
concrete,
the deal with getting concrete that it's gray?
Yes.
or
Okay.
not, you know, like you,
Well, I
you
just
could
thought,
have
you know,
this.
oh, we're gonna
Sometimes-
build this building where it's got a concrete facade that's also happens to be structural, and it's the tallest, thinnest building in the entire world. But also, if the concrete's gray, I'll fucking kill you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
This
it
is
has to
like
be
such
white.
an
I
architect
want,
thing to
I
do.
want my fucking Apple iPhone building.
You can also dye the concrete a different color if you want. That's
That's
always fun.
cheating, but that's
Yeah.
cheating.
You can do all kinds of shit with admixtures.
Anyway, building opens. Next slide, please.
Yeah. What was
Some
the slump test on this thing? That's what I want to know.
Well, so genuinely, in the New York Times article, there's a lot of them going back and forth with their concrete people who
we will
presumably
get into the concrete people and what they were saying.
yeah, have had a lot of headaches over this.
Yes. Anyway,
world's
buildings open.
most
The worst
Italian
people in the
man.
world move in. Some critics love it. Some hate it. Like I say, 90% of the apartments get sold. Jennifer Lopez and her boyfriend or husband, A-Rob, move in. I found some apartments currently for sale in the block on Zillow, of all places. They go from 10 million to 55 million. You can move in, maybe not tomorrow, but soon if you want. The amenities that you get, but you do have to pay
Subscribe to the
for.
Patreon.
No, we're already getting our own building.
Yeah, but like, I want a second home in New York City. Subscribe
Oh,
to the
right.
Patreon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not zoned for residential use, Roz.
No, Center City CMX5 residential use is fine.
Oh, you're right.
But what if
Yeah.
you called it a watch collection compound and technically it wasn't for permanent habitation?
Yeah. What
No,
if
it
that?
can just be for permanent habitation because it's legal.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's less fun.
Yeah.
We
I
don't
was
have
hoping
to
to feel
do
a bit
illegal
more
things sometimes.
Piratical about it, but
You're
fine,
only
I
doing
guess.
illegal things because you want to at this point, not
So
because you
what?
have
What do
to.
you care?
It's called illegalism, you know?
Yeah. Also, pay my
what's wrong
bail,
with that?
Roz.
So the amenities take up about 3 full floors. They include a private restaurant. That's what you see on the slide, which is run by a Michelin-starred chef. There's a fitness center.
Why does it look like why does it look like a Four Seasons at the Führer bunker?
Yeah, I was like,
It's
this
horrible.
looks like
I know.
this is like a nice Marriott.
It looks just
but not like
horrible and
that
depressing.
nice.
Like
Yeah.
I think I've had my grandmother's wake in there. I think it's very possible. There's a billiard room you can into, an 80-seat movie room, a boardroom you can rent. There's a 75-foot indoor swimming pool.
What are the house rules about if the sort of grotesque movement of the building fucks up your billiards game?
I think you just get like a
I-
free do-over or something. I'm not
I
entirely.
think the billiards are on the amenity floors, which are at the bottom of the building, so you don't.
Yeah.
The
You don't
moment
get a
is
do-over,
mostly
yeah.
being applied to the floors where the staff live.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was hoping when you were saying that it was going to be applied like almost exclusively to Jennifer Lopez and A-Rod's apartment.
No,
but I
they're
guess that
way
was
up
too much to
top.
hope for.
They're experiencing a different deformation scheme.
Actually, they're not anymore. They sold up and took like a $1 or $4 million loss on the apartment because they didn't want to be there anymore.
Ooh.
Ooh.
I mean,
anyway,
listen, I think I have complaints about my apartment.
there's the usual amenities. These do all come with like a monthly or a yearly cost, including for like if you want to have dinner in this horrible restaurant, you do have to like pay for your meal. But at least at the beginning, breakfast was included, so you could go and have go down in your
This is
slippers
the
and
first appealing thing you've told me about this building.
Yes, for
If I could
what
move in
has-
somewhere and they gave me free breakfast, I'd be like, well, for 15 million, that's
free
not bad,
breakfast.
actually.
Yeah,
So it
Victoria, they give you
has-
free breakfast in a travel lodge.
It has some of the amenities
They
of
don't give you free breakfast.
a
you have to
higher
pay
tier Marriott hotel.
for it.
Anyway, so like this is part the third. Next slide, please. This is it, it's all going just fantastic. That's just a nice picture I found. Don't worry about it.
Hmm.
Next slide, please. This is where we ask the question. Oh, it's black. So
no, but you've made a mistake here. What you've done is you've applied some photos of like small arms fire damage on buildings in like
Yeah,
Donetsk.
kinda.
But I
This
mean, this
building's
is
been standing for what, 80, 90 years, right?
Yeah, it's part of the
sure.
history. You don't want to
Yeah.
just sort of like patch that over. It's from, that's actually anti-aircraft fire on one of those.
Yeah, it's like that bridge. Is it over in Mostar in Serbia,
in Croatia. Yeah,
Croatia,
it's,
yeah.
it's
Over the river. No.
No.
Mostar
different
bridges
concept.
Croatia and I think Bosnia, because I know the Croatians did a bunch of war crimes on it. And then
Yeah.
that's what the like poison drinking guy was doing. That's why he was in court in the first place.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Mostar.
Karadzic?
Yeah,
What was
Karadzic, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah, but it's in Bosnia. Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
these are all not
I could be
pictures
completely wrong about all of this.
These
Oh,
are
we're not
weirdly
fact
enough.
checking ourselves now.
These are said pictures of the concrete about 9 years after the building was finished. Sorry,
Yeah,
just as a technical
I'm
question,
used
are
to-
the bars black like in the final presentation? Because there are some words that are in there that are. It doesn't matter if they are. Like I can just talk about it, but like just to.
Oh yeah,
Just so I don't
always
say,
switch the
as you
thing
can
to
see in the
black.
picture, there's words written
Yeah.
on.
Right.
and if-
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
they're black.
All right, that's
It's
fine.
fine. I mean, it's just about visible, but it's grey on black. I do note that one of them is these two on the left describe themselves as spalled, and I am used to spalling in the context of armored combat. I'm used to that being a thing that armor does when it's hit by something
Oh,
from
no.
the outside. Is it like spalls on the inside, and you get a bunch of like sort of sharp fragments of
Yeah,
armor,
chips.
like
Yeah,
killing
yeah,
the crew.
So
Yeah.
Right.
concrete can do that just sort of on its own over a long enough period of time, especially if it has
Oh,
reinforcing bar,
And
especially if
you
that
would say it
bar is
normally takes 9
corroding or
years to do it?
something.
Yeah.
But
do
but
not
also-
build your main battle tank out of concrete.
no,
Well,
bad
not
idea.
white
Would-
concrete. If you build it out of concrete, just put in some fly ash. I know your tank will look ugly and grey, but it'll be a lot more functional in the meantime.
I
Do I
wanted
want
my
an
pure
aesthetic
white
tank?
tank to blind the enemy.
Layer 1 of the survivability onion be seen in such a way that people go, damn, he's got that shit on.
The pure rectilinear tank is incredible.
This is the,
Yeah.
this is
The
this is the
Transwoman
cavalry
survival
part of the
strategy.
household cavalry.
This is part of the new Vatican City Army. Pure white tank with a cross on it.
It's a little bit fucked up that the Vatican don't have cavalry anymore. They should maybe bring that back.
They
Yeah.
probably should have a few tanks, just in case.
Yeah, so spalling, is like it's when flakes fall off of the larger body. It's chipping. And as we were saying, the most common cause is corrosion of the reinforcing steel bars. When steel corrodes, it can expand up to 10 times its volume, which stresses the concrete, which basically sort of like pings chunks off the side. And it's not uncommon for like high rise to lose some material and chips as the building settles. Like that's an accepted part of like these buildings of settling in, but maybe not to this scale, and maybe not 9 years in. Like that's bad in general.
Yeah.
You s-
Rebar has all kinds of fun trade-offs, right? I don't know the specific details of construction in here, but yeah, so you have your concrete section here, and then you have some kind of curved bar that goes around over like this that repeats. Then you have your bars that go like this and that and there, and this is a cross section, right? He looks kind of like a frog. Anyway, but yeah, each one of these bars, if it gets affected by water in any way, which it does, they tend to corrode. As they corrode, they expand in this really ugly way. One of the ways you can avoid that, hold on, I'm going to switch the color of the pen here to green, because that's the color the plastic usually is you can coat each bar in green plastic. I don't know why it's green, but it's always green.
Huh.
And
Go
the
Eagles.
interesting thing about that is it will completely protect the rebar from corrosion unless there is like a very slight nick in the plastic, in which case it will immediately corrode at like 50 times the rate from that place onwards.
The Achilles plastic.
Yes.
So the other
The
thing is,
electrolyte, the electrolysis, that sort of stuff. I mean, the corrosion reaction is funny. It does funny things.
so the other thing you see, which is on the top right-hand side, is called honeycombing. This is basically like small gaps in air pockets. This happens when the pour hasn't been done exactly right, and the mix doesn't quite fill the space between the rebar and the formwork, like the cast that keeps it in place while it settles. So this is just like this is just like a cast that's gone slightly wrong. Again, that's not massively a problem on this scale. You're always going to have a few casts that don't go 100% right. But again, when the facade is structural all that stuff, it might be a bit more of a problem. Last thing,
I'm gonna have. I'll be honest. If you're being this psycho about the facade, I just put some Super P in there, super plasticizer. Excuse me, which just makes the thing like settle out instantly and no air voids whatsoever. Self levels all that crap.
yeah, but then it
but-
wouldn't be pure white anymore, and then we wouldn't have miscegenation towers anymore, and that would just be bad.
Nah, this is like just a little bit of something you put in there and it affects the chemistry. It'd be fine. Probably. I don't know. Again, it's been a long time since I took material science. Someone in the comments might go, no, if you put Super P in there, it collapse instantly. I don't know. I haven't played some slump test for the PS3.
Anyway, the last thing, bottom right, you see these are called surface voids. They're pockmarking in the surface, and they are caused by water that's trapped between the surface of the mold and the concrete pour, or air bubbles that are trapped in the mix because there wasn't quite enough mortar to fill in the space between the aggregates. So, these are just flaws in the pour, and that leads
I'm noting
to
that these look very bad. These don't look good.
If
I was paying $1 billion for the sort of like very smooth, very perfect, very white sort of.
It kind of looks like travertine. If you were going for that look, it would look great.
Yeah.
But
I guess they weren't going for that look because they have no taste.
But sadly, because instead it looks like, next slide, please. These are facade cracks. These are all different, spalling, pockmarking, voids. All of this you can now see on the outside of the building. These are pictures from October 2025, so last month.
Normally I appreciate stretch marks. But in this case, I think it kind of detracts from the overall look it's going for.
Yeah.
No, I think it looks better with this. I'm going to be honest with you.
It's got that kind of suburban tiger pelt.
Yeah, this is a better look than a pure white building. Now, the fact that these are all structural problems with the structural concrete is a different issue.
So I'm just going to read you a little bit. This is from a PDF of the suppliers of the white concrete mix, because they were very proud of their efforts, as you understand. I'm just going to read you a little bit from it. White cement reacts more quickly and is temperamental, which meant that the construction crews needed to pay careful attention to the quality control process. Travel in trucks, the raw materials, adjusting for the weather, etc., in order to have a very good consistency among the different concrete batches every single time. The rapid construction schedule was an additional challenge with the goal of 1 floor per week for a total of 90 floors. Thus, the combination of white exterior, the aggressive timeline, and the general requirements of building a superstructure made this one of the most challenging concrete projects that has ever been executed.
Well, he did a bang-up job with
this
it.
This is the promo material, mind you. I should just, add. It's not the foreshadowing material.
Yeah, just kind of, I got my concrete guys in, and after a lot of kind of like yelling at each other and then me, they put something in the brochure that just says greater even than the gods.
Yeah.
Hubris at 432 Park. Yeah.
You got to think about the logistics here. You have a concrete plant somewhere off-site. They mix the concrete there at the plant. They put it in the concrete truck. The concrete truck has a certain time window where they can get to the building. It then needs to be pumped all the way up to the top. Then you put the concrete in, and probably you're doing like, I don't know, a dozen trucks per floor or something. So it's got to be consistent over every single truck, right? You're doing these batches constantly forever. Probably more than a dozen.
And
I
like
don't
you can
know.
drive
I
trucks
can't
into
do this
downtown
offhand
Manhattan,
anymore.
no problem. Like there's never any traffic or anything that you could like get jammed in or anything. So
No, don't
like,
worry about
it's
that.
fine.
Yeah, no. I mean, there's a window where you can deliver the concrete, and then there's a window afterwards where that's when you have to phone up your buddy and say, "Hey, you got a foundation you need pouring somewhere else, like a crappy one, right?" And then after that, of course, you have to go to the designated dump site. Concrete logistics is insane. Everything about it.
Yeah, and then it's made easier if you just have to like pump it up 90 floors. That makes everything,
Yeah,
and it has to be
exactly.
this weird shade of light. So
I
if you're
wonder
asking
if they were
yourself,
pumping it up at that point, or if they were, bringing it up in a bucket with a tower crane. Because I think after a certain amount of floors, bringing it up with a bucket makes more sense. I don't know. I haven't done. I did maintenance, not construction.
So if you're asking yourself at this point, well, why is any of this like a problem apart from for the pricks that live inside it? Next
Very
slide,
obvious
please.
ones, sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
the moon
Yeah.
is one of the most strategically valuable places on Earth. You could drop rocks with the power of dozens of nuclear bombs.
Yeah.
Brianna
Why do you
Wu
make
never
me think
changed.
about her?
Never ever change. Yeah.
God. Ugh.
She's so smart. That's my president.
Ugh.
Yeah. So the reason why it's bad is because if you have a building that's like a couple feet short of 1,400 feet tall, that means that any concrete chips that like ping off the side of the building has a very long way to travel down before it hits the deck. And essentially,
Yeah,
there's no.
I did some reading about this, right? The Department of Buildings in New York City, their power, their sort of legal power about this is they can require you to build like wooden, like plywood sheds over the like sidewalks, so that if somebody drops like a scaffolding pole or a bucket full of nails or whatever, you don't die. But if what the thing that falls off the building at like terminal velocity is a sort of like chunk of extremely white concrete, there's no shed you can build.
No, you're fucked.
That's not penetrating through and killing you stone dead.
Clean throw. Like hot
you
butter.
can get taken out by a brick from like 4 floors up. This is not a situation that you're. I mean, if the concrete is spalling, it's probably falling off on like pebble-sized chunks. You're not necessarily going to get a big rock of concrete, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, I could tank
get a big rock of concrete.
I could tank a pebble-sized piece of concrete traveling at like 45 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when it's a big rock of concrete, all of a sudden it's breaking the sound barrier by the time it gets to you.
Me standing on the sidewalk outside Park 432 looking up, screaming, "Come at me, coward."
Just looking up and being like, are those shock diamonds?
So I'll read you a little bit from the New York Times. This is from a report that the 432 condo owners commissioned by like an engineering consultancy firm when the thing started going to shit. The report, quote, details the presence of new cracks, failing patch jobs, and missing chunks of concrete on the exterior of the 6th, 49th, and 54th floors. Loose concrete had to be removed from several areas of the facade, including from very high floors. This is a bit more from the same article.
They've done some. There are some photos in the New York Times article that have some of the patch jobs on there, which are again really ugly and really clash with the sort of like jerk-off motion vision of the building because they had to use real concrete.
Also, this is a very expensive fix just because you need the guys trained to work on the outside of buildings like this. A lot of people don't want to do that. I used to do it and I decided I didn't like it. Granted, much shorter buildings, I was in a mast climber, not a swing stage. But swing stage is like the window washer, platforms, that are hung from cables as opposed to the mast climber, which has 2 masts attached to the side of the building, which is usually more for heavy renovation. Anyway, that was
Yeah, but you don't want to be in a fucking bosun's chair on the side of this, dodging chunks of concrete falling down on you.
No, sometimes I
wouldn't
was
think so.
either the floor guy or the roof guy for the guy in the bosun chair. Preferred being on the ground to being on the roof. I was
Imagine
never
doing
in the
like
bosun chair though.
just doing it with like rope work, just doing like fucking all dangling off the side of the building while the vortex
Yeah,
winds
that's-
like
Yeah, fuck it. I don't need shit for this. I can self belay. I just give me like a long enough length of rope.
I'm
It's
good.
fine.
I'm fine.
Yeah, so you would go over the side in the bosun's chair with a plastic bucket
Oh,
and a
Jesus.
chisel.
and a trowel.
Yeah. And chip off any loose concrete you find.
Yeah,
and drop it in the bucket.
But try not to drop the bucket or the things inside the bucket all the way, down
No,
to
the
the deck.
bucket is attached to the rope. You can't
Okay,
drop the bucket.
Okay, phew.
Yeah.
Problem solved.
I'll read you a
Although
little
theoretically
bit
you could accidentally tip it out. I don't know. That's why there's someone on the ground to say, don't walk in front of the rope.
more. I'll read a little bit more from the New York Times. Anthony Ingrafea, I don't know, I'm sorry, an expert in concrete fractures and a Cornell University engineering professor emeritus who reviewed photos from the inspections, described some of the defects as cosmetic for now, but said that others have the potential to peel off the building and become, quote, concrete hand grenades.
Oh,
I would not-
Ominously, just like
Yeah.
lowering the lighting in your office, like cosmetic. Now.
For now.
I would not sign off as a licensed engineer in the state of New York that this building will last forever, he said. I would sign a document that says the Empire State Building will last. This building, I doubt it. Which is good news for, the ants living below. So what happened here? Next slide, please. So to make sure that this white concrete, which is a genuine engineering problem, was done properly, they made... I've read various sources, various points about this, but they made like 12 20-foot test columns off-site a couple years before the construction started. I think this is a picture of one of those test columns. I think I have it correct. But Engineering News Record has a paywall that I couldn't get around, so I'm a little
Fuckers.
limited in my resources at the moment. But normally when you test architectural concrete, you just do it once. They made 12 just...
Usually you're not using a proprietary blend that hasn't been used before.
Yeah.
Usually you're using something that, is like relatively well established, because it's either you're fine with gray concrete or it's not the facade material. But this building has to be special. So I guess we gotta really make sure this thing works. Which
it didn't really, because according to emails obtained as part of several lawsuits that are currently ongoing between the owners and the developers, which I read a bunch of, said one representative from the architectural firm, so from the firm Vinodi's firm, quote, "This is an embarrassment. It seems to me that the concrete mix has been diluted by the two entities." Sorry, let me try that again. It seems to me that the concrete mix has been diluted by the two entities, i.e. the construction company and the developers, who have never done architectural concrete facade before, Lend-Lease and Maclo Properties. I believe that one of the financier groups is following what their team is telling them. They are going down a dangerous and slippery path that I believe will eventually lead to failure and lawsuits to come. This process of ignoring consultants' recommendations. So apparently,
that must be so satisfying to get you're gonna get sued email subpoenaed.
I told you.
So apparently, these test columns already started showing surface voids more than an inch across and water infiltration in the columns, and all 12 test columns showed cracks after a 12-month period, as it turns out. So
then
they did.
Why
12.
did they build the columns? If they were like, "Oh, this shit's
No,
awful,"
you build
go
the
ahead.
test. No, this is perfectly emblematic of the whole thing. You build the test to give you the right answer, so that you can build the actual thing you want to build. And if it doesn't give you the right answer, then it's failed its purpose as a test bed. But you still build the thing.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you I'll give you the answer. Actually, this is a bit from the New York Times. One consulting engineer recommended specifically adding this fly ash to the mix to make the whole thing more durable. But this is from the New York Times. They will not accept fly ash, parentheses, color is too dark, replied Hezi Mina, an engineer who was then a senior associate at one of the builders, in a December 2012 email. There were two options, Sylvian Marcus, a structural engineer consulting on the building, replied. You can have color or you can have cracks. And they chose wisely.
Yes.
So despite
Just
several
amazing.
emails from this guy warning about the instability of the mix, the developer decided to begin pouring 2 months later anyway. Whatever, shut up. Quote again in the New York Times. Cracks emerged even at the start of the pouring process, according to the lawsuit. It said that the concrete supplier was still experimenting with design mixes 3 months after the start of the facade construction and without understanding the cause of the cracks or how to prevent them. So
that's terrific.
what if we build a super tall needle tower and just kind of went YOLO with it?
Yeah, I mean, if the test didn't work, obviously there's something wrong with the mix, so you should start fucking around with it while you build the building, right? That makes a lot of sense to me. That is standard practice. If I had a stamp, I would absolutely sign. No, don't do that. That's fucking stupid. This
Nova
is
has signed off
unbelievable.
on this.
Yeah,
No one gave.
anyone who stamped these drawings should have gone to prison.
Listen, I don't know why you would do that to me.
Sorry, buddy.
So, like I said,
have
like
to use the restroom. I'll be right back.
all right. Well,
It's fine. Keep going.
no, I need the next slide button for
Oh god damn
I
it,
don't know.
Justin.
I don't know who has the
Ross.
master switch.
Ah, it's fine.
Imagine
fine.
the
It's
next
fine. It's
slide.
fine. Yeah.
There's an
Rotate
engineering
the next
disaster
slide.
on it.
Rotate the
In
next
your
slide in your
mind.
mind, right?
We have like 5 more slides of content, and then we're and then we're at shake hands with danger. So, this is reaching Everest levels of episode.
I'm so sorry.
I thought,
I'm not,
I thought it'd
fuck
be-
you.
this is my fault. They're like mostly my slides.
It's fine.
Oh man, my dog has given up. He's
Delirium
given me.
has set
He
in.
gave me like a half hour's worth of dirty looks, and then fucked off to bed.
Oh. I'm looking at the cover of Wired magazine, which
Oh,
has
no.
Tactical Girlfriend on it and the hard left shooters leading a gun culture revolution.
Oh,
These
I really
you
it's
apply
every day is Friday.
The has too much money transsexual, and I indict myself here, is a scourge on our community. But when you are the I can drop $2,000 on my special interest at the drop of a hat kind of special interest transsexual, and your special interest is rifles, and then you allow yourself to be photographed with them, you're gonna get us all fucking killed.
Hey, on the bright side, like that one will kill me first.
Yeah?
You're probably fine because you don't have any guns there.
Yeah, no, that's true. But
They'll
you
kill
know,
you for other separate
Stab vest, baby.
worse
Get one.
reasons.
yeah. I don't know. I find it embarrassing and unreflective and like a lot of sort of left gun culture, you know?
I'm back.
Hi, Roz.
Hey, I was uncontroversial in your absence, and this I either can or can't stay in.
Oh, damn.
How do you feel about guns?
Guns? Oh, pretty cool. You
Yeah,
can
they
shoot
are, right?
people.
They are. Yeah, you can shoot bottles and cans off a fence. I've been clear
Yeah.
about the sort of bonuses, the benefits of that.
You can shoot deer with them.
You can,
You
yeah,
have
no,
to. I'm
absolutely.
not getting
and
prion
then eat
disease.
the deer.
You're getting
and that's good
prion
eating,
disease.
unless it's got CWD,
Unless
in
it's
which
got a
case it's bad
prion,
eating.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's bad.
Scary.
Your brain implodes. Yeah. If you had a gun, you could stop them from pouring this bad concrete.
That is true.
All right, so the conclusion we've come to is the New York City Department of Buildings.
Yeah.
Zoran.
You need,
Zoran,
you-
I am
you-
like 3 handshakes away from having your phone number. Like, we can make this happen together.
Yeah.
You need commissars in the Department of Buildings.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Unironically,
true.
yes.
That is true.
Either
actually.
that, or the only thing that stops a bad developer with shit concrete is a good developer with shit concrete. But
They put it in a latex suit. They put it in a latex enclosure.
so
Yes.
while the building was going up, let me try that again. So while the building was going up, because everybody could see, and the builders and developers were noticing all these cracks, they brought in like this series of consultants to fix the problem and help them out, because it was obviously not going quite according to plan. And most of them recommended this elastomeric coating, which is the stuff you see above.
Yeah,
Because it would seal all the
consultant sort of like hurriedly kicking a bottle of Vivishine out of shot of the webcam. What you need is to put this coating on it. Don't worry about
I would just bring in a really big roll of duct tape.
it.
I mean, this probably
Like,
would have worked.
like just be like, this is now the Christo building.
if you used the normal concrete and put an elastomeric coating on it, that probably would have been fine.
Yeah.
It would have been white. Everyone would have been happy.
Well,
Apart
you
from all the
say
people
this.
who had to look at the building, or well,
Well, yeah.
You say this because, quote again, the New York Times, but the coating would give the building a glossy sheen that clashed with the developer's vision. As you can see in the slide, it does look quite glossy.
Oh my God.
Okay. What you have to do, this is because it's fresh.
yeah,
Don't worry,
it's
it
a
looks
wet
matte
look
and garbage.
building.
It looks matte and garbage in like a few weeks. No, there's a solution for that. Even if you somehow got the glossiest one, you go down to your local hobby shop, you buy up the entire stock of Tester's Dull Coat, and you spray it over the building. Done. Easy. I fixed it.
Just a few weeks exposed to like New York City air,
Yeah. No, that's not going to stay glossy.
Instead, Mr. Macklow, again the main developer, suggested that workers apply a clear coat finish similar to the product he used to patch a yacht he raced in European regattas.
Fuck off,
Are you
dude.
suggesting that a Manhattan property developer is some kind of idiot Philistine?
I would never do such a thing, but that. So they did eventually settle on like sort of a clear sealant for the concrete, but rejected the elastomeric stuff that would probably actually work. And then we turn to the pages of the New York Times. The severity of the problems with the concrete was beyond concerning. It is deplorable and should be embarrassing to anyone associated with the project with even the slightest level of care for quality. David Dodds, then a top executive involved in the construction with Mr. Macklow's firm, wrote in the same email thread.
God, imagine working around this guy being like, "Can you use the clear coat I use on my yachts?"
Yeah. I assume yacht racing and,
Sure.
needle
Yeah.
towers
Well,
are...
man.
Air and water are the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Someone was definitely at the end of their rope when they signed off on that one. Like they quit the next day.
So the other thing so that's the problem with like the concrete as the mix. The other thing that they may not have actually solved properly enough was wind. Next slide, please. So this is
I like how this is the cow in the wind tunnel diagram.
I remember those early COVID graphics as well.
Yeah.
So like the concrete mix is definitely part of why the facade is cracking, but the question is, did the open floors that they put in, 5 times and these tune mass dampeners on the upper floor actually solve the wind sway and the twist issue on this perfectly rectilinear building with the flat roof with no tapering or, anything that would structurally work it? The answer is probably not. It's kind of hard to work it out as it stands. Like I said before, it didn't really help that the tune mass dampeners already needed several repairs in the last few years. So they are or weren't quite working as supposed to be. And, like I was saying before, the perfect rectangle isn't, known for its aerodynamic properties.
Well, it's going to get more
The building
aerodynamic as bits of it fall off.
Yeah, yeah. And the building still sways and turns in the wind, but like within tolerances, that's kind of normal for a building like this. But once the concrete starts cracking as it twists and sways more, and as more concrete fails and chips, the more it sways and twists, and so on and so forth. This is a vicious cycle that reinforces itself. Because like the more stressed the building gets, the more cracks it appears, the more stress it puts on the mechanical systems until one day, probably, will it fall down? Probably building fall down, probably not. But will you be able to take an elevator? Maybe not. And if you can't get to the 86th floor in comfort and style in your elevator, then what's the point of having this building in the first place? Because the first point of
you come to the real fun question: how do you demolish a building like that? But
that's fine. Don't worry about it. Like I
9/11.
genuinely, a bunch of like in this country, we don't require a demolition plan for a tall building. Like you just don't need one. If the shard ever needs to come down, no, it doesn't.
Yeah, buildings stay up. Shut up.
Yeah, gotta hire some guys from the Middle East for this one.
Honestly, though, I mean, I feel like this does, like, you could just convert it to like an 86th floor walk up, and then it might actually be affordable.
God, think of your calf muscles though. Like, you would be so fucking ripped. Like after a year of living there, like, yeah.
Inviting your friends over and being like, "Now I understand. Like, if you come upstairs with me, you're really my best friend. I swear."
That's got to be rough on like Tinder or something though. Like, you're like, oh, buddy, you come home with me. Just like, here, put on this complimentary pair of mountain boots.
Really, really, finally get that splendid isolation experience like Warren Zevon sang about.
So, like, I mean, what we were saying before, like, lift is problem. Quote again, the New York Times from 2021.
One really long ladder.
A management email explained that a high wind condition stopped an elevator and caused a resident to be entrapped on the evening of Halloween 2019 for an hour and 25 minutes. Wind sway.
This is not what we should be doing to all billionaires, but this is a good start.
Yes,
right. And it's embarrassing for any organized left movement that, in terms of praxis, you are getting outdone by helicopters and wind. The left has to get more aerodynamic with it.
Well, we're going to struggle here.
Yeah, like a fish swimming.
Speed, baby.
Wind sway can cause the cables in the elevator shaft to slap around, and which is what you want when you're in it, and leads to slowdowns or shutdowns, according to an engineer who doesn't want to be named, because the elevator shafts are so tall that if the wind gets in, it just like whips like a vortex into the
what if
shaft.
it was Bill Ackman from Bill Ackman until 0111?
And according to one of the lawsuits filed by some of the owners, the wind doesn't like just gust up the elevator shaft. It also gusts up garbage chutes, doorways, and hallways, making, quote, the New York Post, spooky noises. And apparently, the garbage that people throw down the chute, because it falls so far, just sounds like a bomb goes off every time like a fucking bin goes.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing. Also, I don't believe Bill Ackman tweeted for a couple of days around Halloween 2019. So, new theory unlocked. But yeah, the straight down garbage chute is easily my favorite thing about this building. Also, if I lived on the top floor, I would have the intrusive thought of hurling myself down the garbage chute to see what would happen.
All I can think is you could
time.
never have small children in this building.
No, this is a death
absolutely
palace.
not.
No, you just have like
because
the same
they also
thing.
have the intrusive thought of hurling themselves down the garbage chute to see what would happen.
No, they'd hurl their brother down the garbage chute to see what would happen.
You have fewer brothers.
Toddlers are durable. They're not that durable.
No, what would happen is what happens in every movie is if you drop down the elevator chute, there's just like a big, linen basket. But because this is 86 floors, it's just a really big linen basket. You're fine. Don't worry about it.
Laundry chute.
My wife has just brought me some like hot spiced apple juice because I have been podcasting for a long time. I love you so much.
This is a wife appreciation podcast.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm. You've been wife mogged
That's
horribly
okay.
here. I'm afraid. I love my wife.
Yeah.
Podcast, garbage shoots, other
I-
unpleasant.
I also
wow.
love your wife.
Yeah, no, she knows.
I've never met her, but from what I've seen, she seems lovely.
Sure, she's lovely. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful camera woman.
Yeah. Anyway, there's one more thing we need to talk about a little bit shortly. Next slide, please. And that is water, because water damage has been occurring inside the tower as well. So because obviously like the problem with pumping water so high in the sky for people who take, showers and do the dishes and whatnot, is that you need like a shit ton of pressure in the system to get it all the way up there.
I fire up my sort of my power shower on the 89th floor and I'm killed instantly. They can't even get like a stretcher up to me. They throw me on the garbage chute,
This would be worse for people on lower floors.
Oh, you're right, because the pressure's still higher. Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Just,
Yes.
I fire up the shower and a massive water hammer explodes the pipe, killing me instantly.
I mean, you say lower floors, but if you are above, the fake mechanical void floors, then what floor are we really talking about? So, like,
Yeah,
you need huge...
maybe that's why it needs to be that high, the mechanical void.
Yeah. So, like, what has happened already is a flange blew on the high pressure feed on the 60th floor, and a pipe burst on the 74th floor. The first of which caused severe leaks that a $130,000 rug was damaged. Which again, I remind you, don't feel bad about any of the fucking people who live in this thing. But yeah, the $130,000
for a 130. If a rug cost me $130,000, if I stand on it, I better die.
So I would assume this is the supply pipe, because that's going to be pressurized to something ridiculous.
I mean, it's possible. Yeah, I couldn't find the finer detail of what burst, but
as opposed to the return pipe or the pipe that goes down, that's going to be. Well, I don't know how the water system works, because I assume, like every New York City building, it has an old-timey wooden water tower on top. And
no, you
that's
can't
not
do
even a joke.
So, like,
that's not even a joke. They still make them.
But you can't do that because that would ruin the perfect, square rectilinear look of the building. What are you, some kind
that's
of
why you got
Philistine?
really high parapet walls.
I'm looking at.
I'm actually
going to
look at this on Google Maps right now.
And your most expensive rugs, because a rug that's like a historical object, example of the textile arts, whatever, is either kind of like literally priceless, like irreplaceable, or Sotheby's or whatever has auctioned it at like millions of dollars or whatever. Fine, sure, whatever. That's evil rich people shit, but I get that in the sense that it's a historical object, right? A $130,000 rug is like, that's just a normal style rug that you're paying too much for because you're rich.
Yes.
Surely.
Probably, yeah.
I'm gonna go insane.
Okay, there's no old-timey wooden water tower on top. There's two chillers and sort of an unidentified mechanical space.
Cowards.
But it's a lot of new buildings in New York City still get built with old-timey wooden water towers, because you don't need a crane to put them together. You just haul them up in the elevator or up the stairs or something, and they form like this protective layer of moss on the inside that actually improves the quality of the water. And they are all made in Bucks County, Pennsylvania.
Hell yeah.
Fun fact about old-timey wooden water towers. They're not that old-timey. Anyway.
Incredible.
Yeah. So the other thing
that's a tangent, but
the other thing that happened was the burst pipe on the 74th floor, and that caused water damage to the point that 2 of the 4 residential elevators had to be closed for several weeks, thus, increasing commute times by several standard hours. One can only assume at this point. There's one more thing.
He says it caused $500,000 in total damage, or 3 rugs.
Yeah. Well, this is a part of the thing that, like, I mean, we'll get into the lawsuit in a moment, but like, these absurdly rich people have absurdly wealthy everything. So if there's any water damage that comes through a wall that seeps through a thing, if there's any shearing, if something cracks, then like, it's not just like you have to go to IKEA and get like a new rug. It's, these people have.
Thinking about the like, I have to go to IKEA, by which I mean I have to get the one non-broken lift down 80 floors, drive to IKEA, get the like Malmö rug, load it into a car, drive the car back, load the rug into the lift, get the lift 80 floors up, get stuck for an hour and a half on the way, then put it in the thing. That's an odyssey.
Then unroll it. Remember that you've forgotten the Blahaj, and then you have to go all the way back.
Oh no.
Fuck.
They're not shopping.
I like the
at
Jungle
IKEA,
Skog better.
right? They're going to like, design within reach and how everything is
It's not
out of
within
reach
reach.
there.
No, I don't know this, but this sounds apt.
No, yeah, design within reach. Everything's really expensive there.
Frauds.
You can't afford any of that shit. They have a special version of that, which is design outside of reach. Which is where you go buy, $800,000 worth of furniture.
I'm developing a conspiracy theory here. What if there's a parallel rich people IKEA? Because like Ingvar Kamprad, as the name suggests, Nazi, major Nazi, right? What if there's a kind of secret IKEA like bunker, right?
There's an evil
bunkers.
IKEA underneath every IKEA.
You get like the kind of IKEA Christmas adventurers, and you can go in there and you can buy like the Billy bookcase that's actually good or whatever. You can get
Blahaj
the
that turns you cis.
I thought it was only a rumor.
Exactly. But you got the you go to the cafe and they serve you one extremely nicely plated meatball.
Well, speaking of extremely well-plated meatballs, next slide, please.
Getting the shirt that finally gets us sued. The shirt that finally gets us sued, and it's me doing rich people IKEA, and it's just that logo.
No,
it's run by the blue and yellow skull.
It's called Iki. It's called Iki, right? AEKI. Backwards.
Yeah. Fuck you.
So
This is
because
not
I'm
a
me, I
violation
can't
of
not briefly
copyright.
talk about the private restaurant because it is also very funny. So, as I said at the start, like you had to pay for dinner, but at least you got breakfast for free. And in order for, the upkeep,
What a deal.
you have to pay like yearly costs, like sort of maintenance costs to whatever association runs that stuff. At first,
it was
12
a co-op, wasn't it?
Yes, a co-op
something
board.
like that.
Yeah. So you have to pay
$1,200
at the start when it opened in 2015. You had to pay $1,200 a year in like sort of communal area charges, which included the restaurant. But since 2021, as part of a new requirement by the building management, which I think at that point was still the developers and not yet the people living there, that residents are now mandated, this is not optional, to spend at least $15,000 in the restaurant or face
Weeping
penalty.
as I'm dragged in for my mandatory foie gras.
Yeah, because otherwise you have to pay penalties. And, worst of all worlds, the breakfast is no longer free.
Okay,
fuck
so
you,
like
dude.
genuinely,
Nah,
right? If you're
nah,
rich
fuck
enough,
off.
you can live the life that we all want to of torturing rich people in strange sort of Squid Game ways. Like you can make them spend $15,000 a year in one restaurant. You can make them live in the kind of wind cell. You can like all rich people have the ability to inflict suffering on other slightly less rich people. Like Elon Musk can make you be around Elon Musk. There's like all kinds of options, right?
Well, a lot of the buildings around Central Park, especially on Central Park West, are co-ops, and that's where celebrities go to yell at other celebrities about, why won't you let me install a fire pole in my apartment or something?
It's my apartment. I
Do you
paid
think
for
it's
it.
like genuinely, legitimately sucks being in the like 0.1%? Because what that means is you have been enrolled as part of the like cast of like hostile torture porn for the 0.01%.
Yeah, that's a good question. I could imagine living in one of like the older co-op buildings on like Central Park West, because I feel like it'd be a little bit more chill But in
Old
these
Money
newer
Chill
buildings,
is genuinely a different
Yeah.
vibe.
Old money,
Yeah.
because these are all co-ops, as we say, right? I think the question is then, what kind of debauched, awful things do you have to do to get past the co-op board to be able to buy an apartment there? Like, what do these old fuckers want from you? You are gonna have to be jerking off in a coffin or some like real like Yale secret society shit.
Yeah, no. At
Or
least like
maybe you're a
bare
legacy.
minimum, you're like worshipping the big owl. Like, there's no fucking way around that.
Yeah. You gotta be worshipping the owl.
So yeah, like the fee rise in the first 6 years was more than 1,200%, which made everybody furious, and also specifically for the restaurant, all the chefs who work in these places, because like all of these towers have their own like private restaurant, they're all miserable because like everyone who comes there has impossible standards because they all eat in 3 Michelin star restaurants all the fucking time. These people don't know any better, but at the same time, they don't want to eat at home because if you have that much money, why would you eat at home when you can go to the 3 Michelin star restaurant around the corner every night because simply you can? So there's
just eating in the sort of Michelin star restaurant, and your attitude is, I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much, yeah. So there's an article in the New York Times about this as well, which talked about a restaurant, not in this one, but in a very similar needle tower, where there was only one couple. They finished their food at 7, and then the place stayed entirely empty because the 2 other parties simply didn't show, which they can do because the in-house restaurant can't charge for no-shows. Because obviously you live there, you own the place.
This feels, just like running like any place like this. Because there's stuff they probably had to prepare in advance or something.
Oh yeah, you're getting in
that shit out.
early for this. Like, it's just rotting and it's going into a locked dumpster. This is the most efficient system for allocating the resources of the planet possible. And I think this probably does great things to chefs as well, like mentally, to be like, yeah, I'm getting paid a lot, I guess, but probably not as much as I should be to not cook. This is how you get out of the menu situation.
The article that I read had like it was not in Park 432, it was a different one. But the guy there was clearly like, I mean, he was supremely well trained. He'd worked in Michelin star restaurants. Like, he was really, he had a staff, and he was like super keen to be there. And I think he just kind of like existed in limbo basically because he's well paid enough, and like he can close the restaurant down at 10 p.m. every night and go home and see tuck his kids into bed, which like as a Michelin star chef, you never get to fucking do that. So like he was sort of like trapped in this hell of, making these dishes that nobody ended up eating.
Nobody wants.
Yeah.
This is Kafka-esque.
Anyway, all of this has of course resulted in, next slide please, a series of lawsuits.
Oh, okay. So here's the thing, right? If we're thinking about this as a kind of pyramid, right? 1% getting obscenely tortured in some way. 0.01% doing the torturing. If you're a service employee of the 1%, and I include lawyers in this, you can just carve the meat right off the bone. Like, I'm looking at this and I'm going, yeah, I'm representing the co-op board of like the most expensive apartments in the world against the developer and constructor of the most expensive apartments in the world. I'm not too worried about my billing for this one, or really anything ever again. I think.
You got construction law is very lucrative.
Yes,
and this
yes,
would
it
be
is
one of the most lucrative cases in construction law.
It's really like, how Dickens was always sort of like skewering the British sort of like that, like Chancery Court for like, like settling wills and stuff, because no one involved has any incentive for it to go on anything less than 100 years, like until everyone involved is dead. Very similar mindset here, I think.
So this lawsuit is the first one. There's another one since, but according to a engineering consulting report filed on behalf of the condo board at least, there are at least 616 pending or future items to repair as part of what they say are original or construction defects, and the estimated costs just for repair minus damages are just a hair over $239 million. So, just like a fifth of the original construction cost, essentially. So,
That's-
and the funniest thing is, to some of them, that's pocket change.
yes.
yeah.
Yeah. But of course, these people will never pay. They will, pay, a fucking piranha show of lawyers into infinity rather, and pay it over the odds rather than actually, just spend the money, fix the thing, be done,
This is a common problem in rich people's co-op buildings. Is they
Yes.
think if they hire enough lawyers, the building will get fixed on its own.
And also, fantastically, at least according to the New York Times, most times boards that run these condos are not able to get insurance to cover the cost of construction defects. So whoever's paying, it's not an insurance company. Somebody's on the hook for, fixing the rods from God facade, essentially. The other thing that this lawsuit does, or these two lawsuits are doing, of course, and because this is there's an insane amount of press about these lawsuits, because obviously immediately the developers started leaking that the condo board was full of maniacs and couldn't be trusted, which is probably also true.
Yes.
And also but all this has done is smear into the papers and in everybody's brain that this is a horrible, crack, dying shithouse of a place where everybody hates each other. So why would you possibly move in? Therefore, all this has done so far is massively depress the price of the condos. Hence, the penthouse going from $169 million to $60 million because nobody wants to live there anymore. Which is
incredible. It's incredible. I love the most expensive apartment in the world rapidly becoming not that because they built it bad.
Yeah. Anyway, there is an upside to all of this. Next slide, please. You can all go to hell. I hate everyone involved here.
You can lose money on your investment?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Elevators go
housing?
up as well, down as well as up. So the upside of this is the condos in this building are worth much less than first sales. I tried to work out how many of them were for sale. That's almost impossible, basically. You can't, because so much is on secondary markets or private listing, you can't get an idea of how much of this tower is currently standing empty. But the good news is they're not alone. New York Times. Construction on One Seaport in the South Street Seaport neighborhood of Manhattan has been stopped in the wake of lawsuits after the tower was found to be leaning. And in Brooklyn, only a handful of units have been sold in the Brooklyn Tower, the borough's first stupidol, which has been plagued by financial drama and also the drama of, ruining yet another neighborhood with more of these ghastly pieces of shit. So yeah, it turns out that the market for super expensive needle towers meant exclusively for the worst people in the world is bad. Your clients are supremely litigious and also just horrible. And your terrible design decisions make you liable for flaws and fuck-ups for years to come. But, if you live in New York City, maybe not underneath Park 432, just for until they build that.
Walk fast.
Probably.
Walk fast.
Yeah. Until they build that
avoid that
unobtainium
block in
shed, you're
general.
fine.
It does make you think that the worst punishment that you could possibly do to rich people, aside from all the stuff we're going to do in the near future, is making them live with other rich people.
Yeah.
That
we
is
just
pretty bad.
wall
The
this
stuff
off.
that's gonna happen is
Escape
so
from
much
New
worse.
York, motherfucker.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the thing, right? Genuinely, if we do the cool zone, right, and we get to say up against the wall, motherfucker, to every rich person, this can be the wall of 432 Park Avenue, and then
No,
that
we're
way
gonna
you
cause
just
more spalling.
you just wait.
Yeah. And in the meantime, hell is other Ackmans, it's fine. It's Anyway, final slide from my side, please. Anyway, that's been the tale of Park 432. I genuinely and sincerely hope that everybody who lives there is involved in its construction, apart from just the normal construction workers and, whoever's the fucking
stuff.
janitor around there. I hope you have
Yeah.
like I hope everybody's fucking miserable. I'll leave the last words to the same resident that we started with all the way at the start. Quote, this is again from the New York Times. The tension in the building has been simmering for years, Mrs. Abramovich said. Everybody hates each other here. She said.
Oh,
Good.
Yeah.
I really liked
Ugh.
Rest Energy, so like honestly, if she wants to have a nice apartment, that's fine.
I gotta say, another thing I don't think we mentioned, but I have
Is this
this on
gonna
good
burn my
authority
tongue?
from someone who worked on the building. Apparently, the fit and finish on everything in there sucked on day one.
Just snapping off a door handle, as
Yeah.
I'm moving into my $160 million penthouse apartment where nothing can possibly go wrong.
Electrical outlet is wobbly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like little stuff.
But that is the fun thing, though. Like, I mean, because this shit, I mean, in a UK context at least, like shitty new builds were always like just kind of for normal people. Barratt Homes would famously just like give you, the paint socket and the fucking bricks that fell off. And the fun thing is now everybody gets that treatment. And
Yeah, I hear that too. Is that like the quality of housing in this country is always bad. It's just the expense that varies. Like it gets really bad on the the lower you go, obviously, but like even at the top, apparently, still bad. So
anecdotally, you hear about projects that were designed as low income, and somehow halfway through the financing stopped penciling out. So they were like, well, this is luxury now, so they swap the materials on the countertops and call it a day.
well, so much of what gets built in this country is luxury student housing, and I think so badly. I feel so badly
That's an
for
oxymoron.
I know, but so imagine you were the sort of like child of like, I don't know, a provincial Chinese official. And it's like, okay, cool. Go get an education in somewhere. We've been reliably informed that Leeds is a fantastic place to go to university, right? Or whatever it is, and you're going to get sort of like Western culture. Go to Leeds. You go to Leeds and they put you in a sort of like new build high rise that has had all of the building materials and a bunch of the builders' stuff just kind of like left in the drywall. It's sort of like leaking through every surface and none of the electrical works at all. And you think the Chinese century can't come soon enough, quite frankly. Yeah. And everything, every possible vengeance must be visited upon the United Kingdom. And to be honest, I agree. So,
yeah, I mean,
yeah,
Britain too. America too, probably.
Yeah, I mean, what do you learn from this ultimately?
Build the building good? I don't know.
No one's built a good building since we invented air conditioning. That was the start of everything going downhill. I mean, so many like new construction buildings are exactly as bad at this. They aren't at the like top end of the luxury market. They're still pretty bad, but it goes to show that you can go to the top end of the luxury market and the building is still bad.
Yeah. I should have kept building them all out of brick,
Yeah, I mean, you should have had, apartments with cross ventilation. You should have, big rooms. You should have all kinds of stuff. But no, that's lost technology. So I don't know. I guess the moral of the story is, are you a wealthy person who wants an apartment in New York City?
Give it to us. Just give us your money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Number one, sign up for the Patreon.
That's
Ideally at the Bloomberg tier.
Yeah. I mean,
number two.
Yeah.
Number two, get apartment in a building that was built before like 1939.
Yeah. Yeah. What we've learned is that strong buildings create good times, and good times create weak men.
Weak buildings.
What we've learned is put the latex suit on your building.
Yeah. Apparently, I mean that probably would have nipped a lot of these problems in the bud. But I don't know. I guess it really does matter what material it is specifically if you're looking at the building from the street and it's 1,400 feet high.
You know what else the lesson is? The lesson
Wow.
is unlimited war on celebrity architects.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not a lot of those guys who I think turned out very good.
Yeah. Celebrity designed prison camp is I'm okay with that. Just
Yeah, well,
just combine Vignodi and Zaha Hadid Studios and say make the world's most luxurious holiday camp, and then we just go from there.
I still got a soft spot for Rem Koolhaas because his name is Cool House.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's the guy. Who do you think I had build my cool house?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, we have a segment on this podcast called Safety Third.
Shake hands for danger.
Hello, Devin, Justin, November, Liam, and all guests, past, present, and future.
I forgot about Victoria, transphobic.
Yeah, that's true. Today, I write in to share with you the story of how I, by pure chance, narrowly escaped gruesome injury while working on a roadway marking crew for my state's Department of Transportation 10 years ago. I worked this job during a summer off of college, thinking that one day it would be valuable experience as a then aspiring traffic engineer.
Oh, you
Oh, no.
moron.
Note, I have since recovered from such
Never
delusions
mind.
and now work in the concrete industry.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I just finished this like
Uh-oh.
super tall needle tower.
You won't believe the things I've seen.
I am not personally liable for what happened in the previous.
Interesting and educational as some of the work was, it was also miserable. Hours in the hot sun working in the middle of the road, painting stop bars and turn arrows at busy intersections. This work involves the use of a specialized piece of equipment we simply called, and quote, semicolon, the cart, and quote, semicolon.
Now let us
I
delve
don't
into
think that didn't transfer right. Imagine, if you will, an awful ice cream cart that, instead of tubs of frozen treats, featured a propane heated kettle of 400-degree Fahrenheit thermoplastic paint and a hopper of tiny glass beads instead of sprinkles.
All right, I'm already hungry. You don't have to sell it to me.
Yeah.
Hand-operated cart extrudes this paint onto the road surface while simultaneously depositing glass beads onto the wet paint to make it retro-reflective. Amid our crew of 4, I had the honorable task of blowing the paint dry with a leaf blower.
I see leaf blower boy indicated on the slide there.
Yeah. Leaf blower pictured here. At the end of one day, we had just finished up at a busy T intersection, diagram attached, and we were packing up the equipment in the back of our enclosed trailer. Pictured here. The truck and trailer were parked in a widened area of the shoulder just past the intersection, with the rear ramp door open. Over here. I had just stowed the leaf blower in its place in the trailer when the incident took place.
Oh no.
I was stepping down the ramp door. Then several seconds passed where I must have blacked out, because the next thing I remember was being knelt down, screaming obscenities, gawking at the Mitsubishi Eclipse that had neatly parked itself into the back of the trailer at over 40 miles an hour.
Your Mitsubishi Eclipse is cold outside. Let it into the back of your trailer.
Yeah, it simply wants the thermonuclear ice cream, as do we all.
The first coworker to rush over, after seeing that I was in one piece, proceeded to try and help the occupants of the wrecked car. I watched in a daze as he helped a confused toddler from the back seat, who was thankfully unscathed, and then a very frightened, though also unscathed, cat.
Oh,
The illustration makes more sense now. I thought that was just a general expression of anxiety.
yeah.
The driver looked to have suffered a broken nose and likely a concussion as well. Somehow, the only injuries I received was a painful strike to the elbow from the passenger side mirror and an abrasion on my neck from where the trailer door ampersand pound sign 39 semicolon S spring cable assist caught me as I reflexively threw myself to the ground.
Car crash survivor. Getting hit by a car survivor.
Yeah. I did, however, spend a good 10 minutes after the accident, pale as a ghost, crying in the truck as I truly contemplated my own mortality for the first time.
Yeah, that's not supposed to happen to the leaf blower boy.
Yeah.
You're a hero.
This is supposed to be a relatively safe job. Apparently, the driver had been bringing his cat to the vet, but he had it loose in the car. As he
That's
approached
a
the
wild
intersection,
way. Sure, why not?
Yeah.
Go for it.
as he approached the intersection, the cat had crawled down by the pedals, and the driver bent down to fish him out, causing him to veer off into the shoulder and into the back of our trailer, getting deep enough to give the paint cart a good bump. How lucky it is then that I was not still in the trailer, or else I may have been laid out on the hood of this guy, ampersand pound sign 39 semicolon S Eclipse, pinned against the still quite hot paint cart. I can say I learned at least two things from this experience. Number one, to always remember that safety cones and high-vis gear are never a guarantee of safety when working near traffic. And also, number two, to always ensure that any feline cargo is properly secured for transportation.
Can confirm.
Despite
Margot.
the first lesson, I continued to work on the paint crew for the rest of the season because I needed the money. As I have been binging your podcast for the past few months, I've become ever more grateful for leftist content as entertaining, as elucidating as yours. And speaking as someone...
I don't need to read Mitsubishi Eclipse because I have the marks of Mitsubishi Eclipse all over my body.
Speaking as someone who was largely ignorant of the gap in their civic and historical education for far too long, thank you for cursing me with the knowledge of just how fucked everything is. Well,
You
also
were
getting
hit
me...
by a car.
Yeah.
Talking to Americans will legitimately be like, well, until I heard about this DSA thing, I never knew things could be bad in America. And you go, oh, what was your life like beforehand? And it's like, oh, they used to pay me to like scrape the nuclear waste out of reactors by hand. And I didn't have healthcare.
Yeah, I had the worst summer job in recorded history and almost, died in a flash of white paint. But sure, your engineering podcast is what has opened my eyes.
I really don't like attributing that level of importance to us because
Please, no.
We're working...
It's like decades of material conditions of the most abject nature, and then fucking idiot podcast is the thing that like radicalizes you is just that's really really funny.
We're very good at propaganda here in America.
That's right.
So good
That's
that no one
right.
realizes that it exists. Yeah.
Are you saying, Justin, that we serve a useful role in part of a leftist political project?
Oh God.
I didn't sign up for that.
I don't know.
I'm out.
Whoa.
I don't like to, think so highly of myself, but
Me neither. But if people are like, yeah, every morning I would clock into work and my boss would shoot me in both kneecaps with a gun. Listening to your podcast was the first time I ever thought that things might be unfair. I don't know what else to take from that.
Oh, we used to dream of being shot by a gun.
Yeah, nice pick when I started.
My boss had a cannon.
That used to be a Mitsubishi Outlander, but the Eclipse is actually making it more humane.
That's incremental reform,
For forming a union to get the boss to reduce the caliber of the gun.
Yeah.
Long march
We're not
through the
saying stop
institutions.
doing it.
We're willing to work with you on this one. It's a
Yeah.
facilitative union.
Yeah. Could you drop it down to a 22?
Wigism is when you get hit by a Cybertruck, yeah.
Yeah.
The moral arc of the universe is long, but it bends towards you getting hit by a smaller Mitsubishi.
Thank you for cursing me with the knowledge of just how fucked everything is while getting me to laugh about it. The show is great. All of you are great. From Leaf Blower Boy.
Thank you, Leaf Blower Boy.
Thank you, Leaf Blower
Yeah,
Boy.
we're sorry.
Trying to explain class relations to an American is like, well, imagine the Mitsubishis.
Now, could this Mitsubishi be a metaphor for anything else in our society?
See, the ruling class are like a guy with a cat under his gas pedal.
Mark's talked
believe
about
that
the
was
cat and the grunt race.
I thought he mentioned it in, Capital Volume 3. That's where all the other stuff is that no one pays attention to.
Yeah, it's a very famous, the fragment on the feline, I think, if I remember correctly.
There's a Far Side cartoon, right, where there's a guy in hell whistling and sort of like moving the wheelbarrow amidst all the flames, and one of the devils is talking to the other devil, and he's like, we're just not reaching that guy. That's how I feel as a communist all the time.
Well, that was Safety Third.
Shake hands with danger.
Our next episode will be on Chernobyl. Does anyone have any commercials before we go?
Praxis Cast.
Yeah, listen to my podcast. Listen to Podcasting is Praxis, or at Praxiscast on Blue Sky mainly, because we just are placeholders on Twitter now. We do, it's the usual stuff. It's more Britain focused, if that's really your, if you really want to get into the depths of that. And it's also essentially whatever happens to come into my brain and what I feel like talking about.
It's great. We've been on. It's cool. We should have done this up front instead of at the end of 3 hours, but we'll put a thing in the description.
Yes.
And on a more personal note, I have been applying for jobs for a while now, and I can't compete with AI written garbage because everybody sends in 5,000 letters a day, and it's depressing me. If you live in Switzerland and if you need a researcher or somebody to do shit in communications, my DMs are open. Please, I would like a job, because the tax man would also like, his cut. So,
Yes. Hire Rob. Hire Rob right now.
And also come to the live shows. We could kill two birds with one stone. That bird may be you.
Yeah.
I'm driving my Mitsubishi into the live show.
Get the celebrity architecture beating. Don't get like any, random.
We're going to wedge a cat firmly under the brake pedal.
you know the like awful nerd shit where the Proud Boys do, where they do like some kind of like mockery of getting jumped in, but it's like naming breakfast cereals. We're gonna make you name celebrity architects.
Yeah,
you're gonna get the shit kicked out of you. You're gonna be like Santiago Calatrava, Mies van der Rohe,
Louis Kahn.
All right, end us.
All right, that was a podcast. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.